What is going on, everybody? We are back. The bracket show has returned. We gave ourselves a week to recover from the last bracket show, but then we did an 8-hour stream yesterday, so I'm definitely not recovered. But it's fine. Yep. It's all good.
Yes.
We're here. How are you today, Jacob?
I'm hungover.
Yes.
Very hungover and very tired. But
yes.
This is going to be good.
But you know what? Cardinals are 7-0, still undefeated in the NFL. It's a great day. That's all I've got to say. But for Arizona sports, we're having a good time currently, which is probably not going to last because it's Arizona sports, but I'm going to relish in it while it's happening. That is what I'm choosing to do today.
Yes.
So,
yes,
that's where I'm at. That's what's keeping me going on my no sleep day.
Me waking you up at 3 a.m. going, I'm going to go watch the football.
Yes. Yep. So that's where we're at.
Yep.
We are joined, as always, by some very lovely guests.
We are.
How are we all doing today, folks? Yeah.
We're recovering as well.
Yeah.
I did not get intoxicated last night, which means it's time to go hard tonight, folks. Let's go.
All right.
As Jacob and I have our bottles of water that we're just like.
I'm having a bubbly water right now, so cheers.
Yes. Christopher in the chat. Taylor with the pick of the week. Bengals beating the Ravens.
I did.
I did. The pick of the week.
Nailed it, guys.
Packers are looking good too. Yeah.
My lock of the week of the Texans would beat the Cardinals.
That worked out for you.
It really did not work out well for me at all.
That was a good. That was a good pick. It was a good pick.
Anyway.
Yeah. So this week we're not expecting to ruin any friendships or cause any dramas, but you never know. The bracket works in mysterious ways.
There are no friendships left to ruin, Taylor.
No.
I mean, Jacob.
At least not with him.
There are no friendships left to ruin with you, apparently.
I mean, after what I did last night, after what I forced him to go through last night, yeah, that's fair. I can appreciate
that sentence taken out of context sounds really bad.
Yes.
I mean, look, if you want to understand context,
worse than what you might think.
If you want to understand context, you can't miss our 8-hour stream. I don't know what to tell you. You just got to go figure out what we're talking about. Because it was pretty glorious. If you're not Adam Collins, it was fantastic for everyone involved.
Or Jesse.
I don't know. Jesse was feeling it.
Yeah, Jesse
was feeling himself. Adam was. It was. You looked. I could see your soul dying a little bit more with each.
I realized some fundamental truths last night, so it was worth it.
You looked like a Ben Affleck BVS meme last night. So it's so many points, just staring off into the distance.
Lucky to look like that meme. But we digress.
All right.
Are we just gonna jump into this?
Let's jump into our first one.
What do we got?
Actually, Mara, how'd you pull up after yesterday?
I realized that I did a lot of activity and not enough eating yesterday, so I actually rolled into bed pretty promptly after the stream, and I'm making it.
Yeah, that's fair. I
don't have hunger cues, so I frequently forget to eat, and so I get really low blood sugar, and then I get all shaky, and then I get hangry, and then I don't want to eat because if I wait too long, then I'm so not hungry that I'm not hungry, and then I have to force myself to eat. It's a problem.
Don't look at me.
I didn't look at you. I didn't look at you at all.
What?
I do the exact same thing, and it drives her up the wall.
Jacob, you're the reason she couldn't even eat her own cake.
I did eat a piece of cake last night.
Okay,
so.
good.
He did.
All right. Alrighty.
Kick it off.
Let's kick it off with, I think, a pretty simple one. Alien versus Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Mara, I'm going to kick it off with you. Where are we heading?
I mean, Attack of the Clones is just a cinematic. I'm not even going to try. It's Alien.
Robert Barker.
Alien might be my dark horse to win this whole thing. I think there's a chance. Alien is, one of the best films ever made. Attack of the Clones is haunted by the kiss it never should have made into this round.
Marisol.
It's so clearly Aliens. I rewatched the prequels though not too long ago. It had been a minute. I watched them a lot when I was a teenager, and then then I let them go for many years. And I rewatched them recently, and I was kinder to them on like with time removed. And Attack of the Clones is almost like the desolation of Smaug of the prequel trilogy to me. It's just like the leanest with the most action and the fastest moving story, and it has its merits. It's Alien. That's about it. That's about it. I ran out of good things to say.
Try and defend
it's Alien is just such a master class of. I love these examples of it's so everybody's imitating somebody nowadays, but it's so exciting when you watch a film, especially if you haven't seen Alien, when you go back and watch a film that really started things and really, really, really took risks and created the things that like we do today. It's so exciting as a film lover to go back or to finally like discover like films from the past that are those kind of films. And I would love to see the best reward is like introducing Alien to a friend, like whoever it is, and seeing their reaction for the first time. It's a terrifying film. It's an excellent sci-fi film. It's an excellent horror film. It's an excellent thriller. It's an excellent character film. Like still like for actors, like, like it's the full package. It's a masterful suspense film. It's excellent build film. It's excellent minimalist kind of film using it's a great noir. Like it's just got so much. There's not a box that it doesn't really check off. And it gave us one of the greatest heroines of all time. Alien.
Tell.
Alien is very easily going to make it through, so I'm going to talk about Attack of the Clones. Because Attack of the Clones gave me so much Padme wardrobe that like just made like watching that as a kid, I was like, yes, and now I'm still like, still yes, still absolutely, still need that. I love the prequel movies a lot. I'm not like I would definitely pick Alien over Attack of the Clones if it came down to it, but I really I love Attack of the Clones. Like I love those movies. I love the style. I love just that kind of world that you get put into, even though some of it doesn't work and it's messy, but I love it. If I could cosplay as everything Padme has ever worn in the whole galaxy, that would be my dream. So there you go.
Adam?
Yeah, no, I'll miss Attack of the Clones. It's been fun talking about it, for what it is. A lot of us have varying degrees of fondness for it. As someone who does enjoy most Star Wars movies to some extent, Attack of the Clones is one that in recent years I've grown fonder of in certain ways. I personally am a big fan of the Yoda stuff towards the end. That was always one of the most exciting things. When I saw that in theaters for the first time, I really enjoyed it. But it's quite a silly film, and Alien just is the gift that keeps on giving in so many ways. Everyone's already said it. We'll see what its competition is in the next round, because I might have to save some of my more passionate arguments when it's going up against stiffer competition. But Attack of the Clones, you had a good run. You really did, considering how things went. You went farther than the Two Towers, so good on you. And let's go.
Never forget.
All right. With that, Alien does move on to the next round. All right. Well, next up, we have Predators versus Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Marisol, I'm going to start with you on this one. As you take a swig. Sorry.
Oh no, that was preparation. I still haven't seen Teen Titans in its entirety, but I want to. I really want to, which I have to factor in here. It does look like Lego Movie fun. It does look like it has that energy, and I don't have a lot to go off of with it, unfortunately. But I like it. I want to give it a chance. And Predators is, I give this movie a lot of credit. I was a big fan of it when it came out. I still think it's not even close. It's the best Predator movie that we've had since the original. It's not even a contest. I think it is lean. It is tight. It is to the point. And it is engaging, and the characters are all exactly what they should do, as distinct, and have their moments to shine as they should. I think it hits every beat correctly that it should, in this film. And it's the best premise out of all of them. It's a great premise, like, to expand the lore of Predators the way Predator 2 tried to in the last 10 minutes of the film, for some reason, when it could have done that over the entire film. I love the way Predators expands the universe. It's a great idea and really doubles down on the fact that these are hunters. This is hunters, and this is what they love to do. This is what they spend their time doing. And I will defend Adrian Brody. I really like the guy, and I like that he takes chances and always tries to do against type and kind of put himself in roles that people wouldn't see him in. And he was appropriately grizzled in this film, and I dig him. I'm picking Predators.
Parker?
I really like both of these movies. Teen Titans Go to the Movies has it's so much fun, and it's silly, but the jokes are also leveled. The final line of the movie is Robin yelling into the camera, kids ask your parents where babies come from. That's hilarious. That it is. So you gotta have Michael Bolton as a tiger singing a song about parodying 80s pop, synth pop. It's so funny. It's so smart. It knows exactly what movie it is. That said, some of the jokes are a little bit juvenile because it is, it is more of a kid's movie than a Lego Batman is. I think at least a little bit. There's a few too many butt and fart jokes in there for my liking. Although I do love that there's a joke about Shia LaBeouf and everybody hating him. It's hilarious. There's a lot of really smart jokes in Teen Titans Go to the Movies. That being said, I couldn't agree with Marisol more. Predators rocks. It's a really good movie. Not only is just the plot makes sense, but it builds the world. Not only are they hunters, but they're not hunting, random people. They're hunting the best killers from every planet. And it goes back to basics of just muscular people walking through a jungle, getting hunted by weird predators. It's so good. Yeah, even Topher Grace and all, you gotta go Predators.
Teen Titans Go to the Movies has one of my favorite jokes in the scene where slight spoiler, where Robin basically murders the Waynes, is one of my favorite jokes, and then does a thumbs up he's happy about it. It's just one of the
throws
funniest...
a 6-pack ring into the ocean to kill Aquaman. That's still funny.
He genocides Krypton.
Yeah, there is a lot of little amazing, funny little jokes where you're that is morbidly terrifying and horrific. But it is but because it's a kids movie, they play it for laughs, and it's absolutely hilarious. The first time I ever saw Predators, I hated it. I can't tell you why, because I don't remember why I hated it. I just, for some reason, for the longest time, hated this movie. And then last year when we did our 10 years on one for it, we watched it, and I was fully I know I've been telling you for ages, this movie sucks.
You're be prepared, this movie's terrible, and I was oh, thanks for really selling me on this. Yeah. I'm really excited.
Then we get through it,
and I'm sitting there, and I'm we're about to really really disagree on this movie. This is about to be really awkward.
We're about to take a real and then we get to the end of it, and I'm that might be one of the best action movies I've ever seen. I love this movie. It hits every trope. Yeah, it does all the cliche. It does a lot of the cliche deaths, but it leans so heavily into that. that I think it's a lot of fun. And Predators is easily the best Predators movie since Predator, like easily. And it's just a really great and fun time at the movies, and I absolutely love this movie. So yeah, I'm going to pick Predators.
I'm going to say something that's going to probably get me yelled at, but it's fine. I'm used to that. This is the best Predator movie, like the best one. I might agree
with you.
I'm not super high. I'm not super high on the first Predator movie, and I know that's really unpopular. Like, I don't buy into the whole thing that it has going on. Like, that's just not, you know what I'm talking about.
No, I do. Yeah, I just love that 3 other people went, no, I agree with you. And then
I didn't mean the panel. I meant the internet at large is probably going to be mad at me.
But then I love how there's 3 other people just seething looking at you.
Yeah, I know. It's not my tempo. The first movie is not my tempo. But I appreciate it for what it is, but I sat there watching it and I was like, oh, this is a dude movie. Like, it makes me feel like I should be a dude sitting here appreciating this movie, and I don't. This movie, however, did not make me feel that way. It just felt, it's just different. It's made differently. It has a different tone to it. It feels more of a modern kind of action movie, which works better for me. And I love the cast. I think the cast all does a great job. I love the style of it. When we were sitting there in a dark room and your whole screen is just red, just the use of color. And I was someone who didn't know anything about the movie other than you telling me it was going to be fucking terrible. And so I was sitting there not knowing what was really going to happen and being really invested in it. And there's only really one major problem I have with the movie, but you can kind of skip around it realistically if you want. There's some very tasteless lines in a couple of places from a certain character that makes me cringe a little bit. But yeah, I just love it. I after watching it, I was like, this is great. I want to watch it all the time. Basically, Adrian Brody is awesome. And it made me go, oh, okay. Like I might like other Predator movies. Spoiler alert, no. But it was the one where I was like, okay, I actually really like this. So and I probably like Teen Titans Go to the Movies less than most people do. There are parts of it I enjoy. There are parts of it I think is funny, but I'm that person that's no fun and doesn't really do the juvenile humor stuff. Like, I'm the killjoy person when it comes to that, so a lot of it doesn't work for me. But yeah, I'm voting for Predators.
Mara.
Bubbles.
Bubbles.
I also really legitimately like both of these movies. I agree that there's an extended large amount of flatulence and Teen Titans Go to the Movies. It doesn't quite resonate with me as an adult human being, but I do love how it is incredibly dark at times in a really funny way. I think it really challenges kids, which I like, but it just doesn't, sadly, if I must make a direct comparison, hold up to how much I really love Predators. I don't know. I really would actually love to talk at length with someone who just really doesn't like this, because I just recall the general perception of it at the time being really negative and being like, oh, alrighty, I'm just not going to say anything then, because I really liked it. But I would just really like to hear from people, like, what is their grievance with it? I mean, we get to know that there's a Predator civil war, that they have Predator racism. Like, that's awesome. I don't know. I think that the prosthetics work is amazing. It has Derek Mears, the nicest human being on the planet of Earth. The music also really, I think, rivals the original as much as it possibly can, considering it. I mean, yes, they used the physical theme throughout most of the films, at least the different takes on it. But I like it. I think it's really well paced. Structurally, from a narrative standpoint, it ambles from time to time, but I think it works. That's just me. But yeah, it's just so good. I really wish that any of the related Predator media that came after it would have been good, but it wasn't. So I'm gonna cherish this. I do still prefer the original, but clearly that just must mean there's something wrong and broken inside of me. So I'm gonna vote for Predators.
Adam?
Well, I'm happy to say last time we were discussing Predators, I had not seen it. I have since rectified this, which is cool. It was one of the few blind spots I've had in this tourney so far. I just had never gotten around to it. So I watched the movie. I'm happy to say I quite enjoyed myself. I think the thing with Predators is when it came out, it was very unceremonious. It was just kind of casually released. And I think there was just such a bad taste in people's mouths because of the Alien versus Predator films, and justifiably so. So to watch this movie after this time, with, admittedly modest expectations, other than the fact that I knew, within this circle, people were saying good things about it, I still was able to enjoy it for what it was. And like Mara said, I love all the practical effects work in this movie. And it's the most simple of the Predator sequels, because I think the problem is there's a disproportionate amount of reverence for the original film. As much as I like it, it's a 4-star movie. I really like that movie. But when you get down to it, if that weren't a Predator, if it were just like a despot or a drug czar or something that he was fighting in the jungle, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting. But it's very similar to a lot of Schwarzenegger films. What makes it special is the look of that creature, the uniqueness of how it hunts its prey. And this movie really returns to that more than Predator 2 or anything else has done since. And they go with the whole like cube/saw setup where they just dump a bunch of strangers in the middle of not like a bunch of chaos. And I really like that. I love that Goggins is stuck in his jumpsuit the entire time just to shame him. Like just and also to make him an easy target. And it's just amazing to go back and watch this like wealth of talent in this movie. I rewatched Species recently and was just blown away at the Oscar winners in that movie. And, it's incredible. But Predators had that going for it as well. And Teen Titans Go to the Movies is a movie that I saw with no expectations, was very, very impressed with its wit and laughed a lot. But I'm going to rewatch Predators more going forward. So I will vote for that. And this show got me to finally watch it. So, Jacob, you're making a difference.
Well, with that, Predators does make it through. Next up,
good movie.
Spider-Man versus 2004's Hellboy. I told you there'd be some pain, but nothing like... Actually, I take all of that back because now that I'm realizing there actually is going to be some tough ones. Mara, I'm going to start with you.
All right. I got to say, at first glance, this was somewhat difficult. However, if this had been Spider-Man 2, it would have been a much harder choice. But I have to give the credit to Guillermo del Toro, to the aesthetic and to bringing Hellboy to the big screen in a really awesome way. I love all of the creature designs in all the movies, like whether they actually had any source material or not. I love seeing all the weird stuff that he can bring to us. But inside of that universe was such a perfect place for him to thrive. I think that it stands a little taller than its sequel, even though I actually love the Golden Army storyline. I think they did a good job. But this movie, I think that it's beautiful. It brings the world to life. It's very immersive too. I think that Spider-Man is an awesome, super fun movie, but it's not nearly, I don't feel like I'm part of that movie. I feel like I'm watching it. And that's one thing I really cherish about the Hellboy films. Even the slightly inferior sequel is I feel like you get to really feel like you're in it and you're there. It feels 3-dimensional, even though it's not, a 3D movie. Also has excellent music. The performances are strong. It has so many cats. Lots of kittens. I really, really like it. I'm not going to be upset if Spider-Man moves on in its place because it did so much for helping bring like superhero movies to the forefront of the cultural zeitgeist as real like movies and event movies at that. But not gonna be mad at it. But I have to put my vote for Hellboy.
All right, Adam.
Yeah, this is tough. This 2000s cannibalism that you seem to enjoy. These I mean, they came out close together. They were both very formative theatrical experiences for me when I was in high school. Really enjoyed them. Spider-Man, I have to say though, is the one I saw I think 3 or 4 times in theaters. And I just couldn't believe I was really watching Spider-Man in a movie. Like the novelty of that did not wear off for a while for me. Now, like people look back and it's like, oh, the character's oversaturated, but that movie really showed what was possible with that character on screen. Hellboy, conversely, I had at the time, no familiarity with the source material. So when the movie came out, didn't know much about it, but the movie won me over. I really enjoy it. I love the practical effects. I enjoy the style of it. The humor is really on point throughout. And it made me seek out a lot of the comics after the fact, which it deserves credit for that. But Spider-Man is a movie that I still revisit. It means more to me personally. So I will say more about Spider-Man if it moves forward. But it's with much reluctance that I give it my vote over Hellboy, because I feel like this could have happened further down the line, Jacob. But but it is what it is. So I will vote for Spider-Man. I will vote for Spider-Man.
Me?
Yeah.
This one's tough. This was tough. Hellboy is so special. It is so unique, and you don't even, it's the kind of film that sneaks up on you. Obviously enjoyable, but then you realize the reasons why you're enjoying it. And you realize just how, for somebody who had never seen, if you're somebody who had never seen a Guillermo del Toro film, you're like, why is this so gorgeous? Why are these characters so memorable? Why am I like, without even realizing, just relishing like the detail, the etchings in Hellboy's skin, and the creature design, like the monster he battles in like the subway, and just everything feels so lived in. Everything you feel, everything feels mythical and tangible in Del Toro's worlds, and 1,000% with Hellboy. You feel like these are beings, and this is a mythology, and these are things with a history and a past, and inventions and creations that have existed for like thousands of years. It's so authentic. It's so real and so detailed. And every character, every design makes everything feel like it has a history. It's so rich, his world. And you feel all of that, whether you realize it or not, with Hellboy. And Ron Perlman's great. He's so great. Spider-Man though was an event, and it still is an event, and is a film. Although I've rewatched both these films many times, Spider-Man I've rewatched more, and I think Spider-Man is a more essential film as far as comic. If we're talking about comic book films, it is more monumental. It means just a little bit more to me, and I do enjoy Spider-Man 2. Pound for pound, I think Spider-Man 2 is a more well-oiled machine than the first Spider-Man. But I love the Spider-Man. We owe so much to the MCU. Owes so much, like so much of the way we absorb superhero stories now. Fast forward again, like when you look at how we enjoy things now. Sam Raimi really went for it. In shaping that, really capturing that right balance of the weight, the stakes of a superhero story, but capturing effortlessly just the fun and the silliness. And I love it. One of the things I love the most is how kind of wacky the whole thing is, how goofy Tobey Maguire is in that whole film. That I really feel, I feel so much in that film, like he is truly like a nerd who discovers how to be a superhero in that film, and you believe in the transition in that film. And that's why it clicks so much for me. Tobey Maguire, is just a little too old to be playing a high schooler. Still younger than Andrew Garfield when he played Spider-Man, so I don't want to hear shit. But he captured it. Maguire captures it. He has such a boyish energy and such a goofiness that he captures it. And one of my favorite things about that movie is how, this is like, oh, this is light, this is fun. How it like switches on a dime in that final scene, in the final battle with Green Goblin. And once the little goblin bomb, whatever, explodes in Spidey's face, I was just like, oh, and and the music stops, and it's like all you hear is just like the deafening crunch of each punch, and like it's not fun and games anymore. I just love how like suddenly like terrifying and serious that final battle is. That Sam Raimi just clicks it into like war mode with that final scene. I love how it wraps. I love Spider-Man. It's tough. Oh, it's so tough. Really do love Hellboy, but Spider-Man gets my vote.
Okay.
Can I go next?
You are up.
Okay. This one's tough for me because Spider-Man, I do have so much nostalgia for the first Spider-Man movie, but even as a kid, I was just like, I really don't like Tobey Maguire as an actor in anything he does. Like, I can't. Even as a child, I was like, this is not okay, whatever is happening in any movie he's involved in, and I won't stand for it. So there's that problem that it's got.
When you were 8, you stood up and was screaming at the screen, "This is not okay!"
And when I was 8, I was like, who's responsible for this?
I want to hear your future commentary for Seabiscuit.
This is wrong. So there, I have that little minor problem with the film.
Just a minor.
It's easy to get past. It's fine. It's not a real issue. On the other hand, you have Guillermo del Toro and his world building and his creature featuring and his awesome storytelling. So I'm going to go with Hellboy.
Parker.
Yeah, this one's tough. I like Hellboy a lot. I personally like Golden Army a little bit more. I just think it's a little bit more Del Toro. It's a little bit more loosen the reins, just even a little bit more. Let him go a little bit more crazy. I think Hellboy is really, really, really great. Perlman is fantastic in the role. He has quips that are just so essential to the character, like touched you for 5 seconds, laid 10 eggs, didn't even ask me to dinner first. Like just incredible lines in this movie. I think the movie goes a little bit too big towards the end, with the hive mind jihad beast monster. I still really like it. I still really appreciate it. The scope of it just goes a little bit too big. Spider-Man 2002 is my Batman 89. That is the movie that I saw at a very young age that like made me fall in love with superheroes and with movies and with superhero movies. Like, I don't even know when I saw it for the first time, but it was probably right around the time that Spider-Man 2 was coming out. And I wanted to be Peter Parker. I was in love with Mary Jane. Like, Spider-Man, for people who are a little bit older than me, it is that, Batman 89 or Superman 78 are those just iconic movies that made them fall in love with the superhero characters. That's Spider-Man for me. He's been my favorite hero since I saw this movie. Willem Dafoe knows exactly what movie he's in. He knows it. He is having a blast. Just that scene where he's up talking to Peter, we'll kill each other again and again and again until we're both dead. Like his transformation scene where he yells back to the formula. So good. Bonesaw is iconic. And also, like, thematically, it's a pretty heavy movie. Like, you see Peter's reaction to his father figure being murdered, and it's his fault. Like, that's heavy. That is not some fluff piece. I have a lot of nostalgia for it, but I genuinely believe that this movie really holds up, and I will be devastated if it loses to Hellboy.
Mara, you're gonna have to get Dan ready. Look, if this,
I'm curious about what Sir Pounce thinks.
Yeah, same.
Well, this one is Muffin. Sir Pounce is over there.
Muffin 2. We count 2.
Mara kind of summed it up earlier. If this was Spider-Man 2, I think I'd be voting Spider-Man 2. I think Spider-Man 2 takes everything that works about the first Spider-Man movie and elevates it. And it takes, what you were saying with all these themes that are really dark and really like confronting. Spider-Man 2 does a lot better. Whereas I think the first Hellboy movie is really dark. It's really messed up with actually what it's trying to do and trying to say. And I as someone who is quite famous for not being the biggest Del Toro fan, there are
being the bane of my existence when we watch Del Toro movies.
There are 3 movies of his that I adore: Pan's Labyrinth, Shape of Water, and Hellboy. And I am voting for Hellboy on this one. I could watch Hellboy over and over again. Whereas in the first Spider-Man movie, I've seen the problem I've got is I've not seen another Hellboy movie do Hellboy better than the first Hellboy film. I've seen another Spider-Man movie do Spider-Man better.
Just because Spider-Man made more money and had more movies made, it had more chances, doesn't mean that that's a knock against it.
No, I've seen the same director do a better movie in the sequel compared to. I'm not the biggest fan of Golden Army.
Sure,
Golden Army doesn't work for me. So I'm gonna vote Hellboy. So Mara, do we have our tiebreaker?
We do. We have it. It was delivered remotely.
Okay.
Any guesses?
I'm guessing.
I just want to say first, Spider-Man. You know that scene in Spider-Man where Jameson is almost murdered and then he decides not to give up Peter? Man, that's so good.
So who was guessing Hellboy?
I don't know if anyone guessed Hellboy. I think we all said Spider-Man.
I'm guessing that Dan remembered Octavia Spencer's tiny little scene in Spider-Man and remembered how fucking hilarious it is. And he was like, Spider-Man.
that was.
I bet Dan can do a Bonesaw impression.
So many iconic moments in Spider-Man.
His text message word for word says, "It's been a while since I saw Hellboy. I'm going with Spider-Man."
Oh,
that hurts me. Dan's no longer my friend.
My heart's going a mile a minute. You can't do that to me, right? You can't say,
I'll take
Hellboy?
I'll take it, but that was a pretty unceremonious way to dump Hellboy.
That's why he's no longer my friend.
I
think we can make plenty of ceremony out of it. Let's all dance on Jacob's corpse right now.
I'm just gonna once again say fuck Tobey Maguire and everything he's ever done, and for attacking me personally.
Well, Marisol, I hope you're ready for your punishment for that one though, because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse first Thor: The Dark World. Marisol, I'm going to let you start with this one.
Good choice.
Just let me get this out of the way, because y'all know I'm not really a fan of either of these films. So, and I'm the only person in the world who doesn't like Spider-Verse. I know, killer with fire, but
communist.
It's just it like I said, it comes down to kind of a reaction. It is an onslaught. It's sensory overload, that film, for me. It was in theaters. I got literally a headache. It's just not my tempo, and I don't need my films to be, my storytelling to be at such a breakneck speed like that I can't even keep up with it. I'm not saying all films. I'm just saying it. I don't think I really needed it for this film. It caused me physical pain. But I was saddened by so much of that, because there is so much to like in Into the Spider-Verse. I think presented in a different way, I think I would really, 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 the movie would really, really, really land with me, and I would love it. And it would absorb it much more easily. Obviously, like course, Miles Morales is great. It's a great hook. It's a great foundation, a jumping off point to tell this story and launch this world. Many of my issues with Into the Spider-Verse are technical. Thor: The Dark World, on the other hand, is just story is its problem. I'm sorry. Like, I do not like Thor: The Dark World. I fell asleep, I think, on it the first time I saw it. It's dreary. It's quite forgettable. I'm sorry. I don't have many interesting things to say about it. Once again, Loki outshines Thor in Thor's own movie. What do I pick? I know what everybody else is going to vote for, so I'll be the chaos vote. I'm just going to vote for Thor: The Dark World. I'm just going to vote.
Right.
I'm just going to vote for some pecs and Natalie Portman. Sorry, and Doctor Who.
You're also a big Alan Taylor fan.
Yeah,
Right?
massively.
Yeah,
He should stick to TV.
Yeah. So I don't have too much to say. I think that the best thing about Thor: The Dark World is the version of Loki that we get in the film, and any of the scenes we get to spend time with him, and the things you get to learn about him as a character. I think they make Thor really dull in this movie, and he's not really the part for me that I'm interested in. The story is just not great. What they're trying to say gets lost in how they've decided to do it. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about it. We've talked a lot, you and I, about when we saw Into the Spider-Verse, what that movie theater experience for us was like, and then not being able to talk about it for like a month because we saw it so early, and how excited we were about it. I think it's probably my favorite Spider-Man movie, just point blank, just period. So I'm just gonna vote for it, and we're just gonna go to the next person. I don't want to take up too much time on this one because I feel like it is going to move on, and we are going to talk about it again
in the next.
Yeah,
I have a feeling in the next round we're definitely going to talk about it.
Yeah,
Adam.
If they just marketed Thor: The Dark World as Stellan Skarsgård gets naked and goes to Stonehenge, I think they would put a lot of butts into seats. Go see Dune.
Come on,
people.
it was right there.
Go see Dune. Yeah, Thor: The Dark World is a sleepy, dreary, wet blanket of a superhero movie. But it does have a lot of cool imagery. I appreciate, its attempt to do, some Shakespearean angles there. But it's ultimately quite dull. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I respect the hell out of Marisol's take on this because it's beyond legit. Like if your brain, if your eyes and senses reject the film, like it's not your job to like force feed yourself something that's just painful to watch. Now, me personally, the aesthetic was not troubling for me, but it is quite busy, so I get it. That said, I rewatched the film not too long ago. Got a little bit better on the rewatch this time because it was like the third or fourth time I've seen it, but it had been a while. And I know what the movie's about at this point, so watching it on its terms makes it so enjoyable, and it really gets at the heart of what makes Spider-Man a hero, regardless of which version of Spider-Man we're rooting for in any given scene. We have this movie to thank for just the next decade of multiverse movies we're going to be watching in live action because Spider-Verse really busted it wide open, and Marvel and DC are like, okay, now we can literally do anything. So, this movie balances it quite well on a narrative level. Like if you're just reading the script, and I quite like the film. And I'll be honest, when Marisol first started talking, in my head, I was thinking this was Spider-Verse versus Ragnarok. I was like, oh, this kind of, well, thanks, Jacob. But no, this is quite easy for me in the end. I vote for Spider-Verse, please.
Parker.
Yeah, I'll save my super impassioned speech about Spider-Verse for when it needs it. For now, what I'll just say is the What's Up Danger sequence is like one of the best superhero movie sequences ever. And that's not just the shot of him upset. It's the whole thing. It's him reliving the talk with his dad through the door about how his dad sees this spark in him and he's amazing and he wants to see him succeed. Like that relationship is just so damn special. I totally understand the sensory overload. That's absolutely a fair gripe. I love the aesthetic. I love how it's literally a comic book come to life. I love everyone can wear the mask. I love the goober and everything that's happening with Peter B. Parker. I love everything about Spider-Verse. With the Dark World, one of the worst things you can call a movie, especially in this kind of bracket where it's these sort of, sci-fi superhero kind of movies, is saying that it's like bland and boring and flat. I think that's just that's almost worse than being actively bad yet interesting. And that's exactly what Thor: The Dark World is. It's true though, like a movie that is bad but has something going for it, I'd rather watch that than a movie that's just so boring and by the numbers and flat, and that's Thor: The Dark World. So gotta go Spider-Verse for sure.
Mara?
I'm actually a lot less negative on Thor: The Dark World than most people are. However, it just doesn't hold a candle to Into the Spider-Verse. I actually really loved the first time this movie came up, hearing Marisol's explanation, because it explains so much about why I love it. Because as someone who's color deficient, all of that like vibrant color and stuff, I was able to see that movie in a way that was so visually different for me, because there's enough dynamic stuff there that my brain and my rods and my cones can actually see. So I love that she helped me understand more about why I even like it, and as well as understanding and empathizing with why she doesn't. I agree with Parker. It's a panel brought to life in such an amazing way. I think that it's not just well told. I think it's stylized in the right kind of way. I never thought I would see animation do something after, like, the Pixar of it all. I thought, okay, well, we've hit the pinnacle of animation. And I didn't know that there was something new that I could see in my lifetime that hadn't existed before. And I can't wait to see more movies like this. But yeah, I don't need to belabor the point, because I feel like I know where this is going in the next round. So I'm just going to say Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes. For those wondering, Thor: The Dark World beat out Jonah Hex in the last round. So that's how we have Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
Jonah Hex is the epitome of the bad movie that's interesting to watch. I would have voted Jonah Hex.
Yeah.
It's a terrible movie, but God, is it fun time.
I actually think you did vote Jonah Hex. Were you on that episode?
Probably.
You were a week. No, you were a week
I think
later.
that was a week I was off, yeah.
I think I probably voted
Not
for
to
Jonah
get
Hex on
tangential,
that
but
one.
Robert, would you pick Jonah Hex over Cowboys and Aliens?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
If only for the runtime.
Yeah.
Jonah Hex is an 88-minute movie.
And it's got
Next
Michael
up, we have Prometheus versus the Phantom.
Oh God, I want to get Mike on for a minute.
no. Oh
I
no.
wish we could summon him with the sea conch.
No? Okay.
No. You can't start with me.
Okay, Robert, I'm going to start with you.
I like Prometheus. The Phantom for me is just really misses the mark. I don't know if it's an age thing or just that like I saw way better superhero movies with modern effects and good stories and actors. Like, not that Billy Zane is a bad actor, but like just I saw movies that I liked more after the Phantom. And the Phantom was I think it's a fun little time. It is very Indiana Jones-esque, with just if Indiana Jones like wore a purple jumpsuit and shot people more often than Indiana Jones already shoots people. But that's kind of what the Phantom is. It's just weird and wacky with the skulls and the weird names and the evil newspaper owner. Like, there's just a lot of weird stuff going on in Phantom. Prometheus, I happen to really like. I think visually the movie looks great. Might be like the best visual effects, like CG effects, in any Alien movie. I really like everything that's going on in the cave. Fassbender is just knocking it out of the park. And sometimes you just get great actors in good roles. I think Charlize Theron that's not how you pronounce her name at all. Charlize Theron kills it in this movie. I think Idris Elba is really fun. Even like just the side characters, like you have fun when Milburn and the other one go off on their little adventure. Fifield, thank you. 40 days, folks.
That's gonna be your 5-pointer. Just letting you know.
I knew it. I'm just not. I've had a little bit too much grape juice plus. And
nice reference.
In honor of the Phantom.
Right, in honor of the Phantom. I like Prometheus. I don't think it functions immensely well like as a prequel, but there's some sequences in that movie that are just riveting. I mean, the Numera Pace inside the pod scene comes to mind. Only Ridley Scott can direct that scene that way, and it's just fascinating. That scene is better than anything in Phantom.
All right, I've had a second to think about it and gather my thoughts.
All right, you're up.
So here's the thing. I love the Phantom. I saw it for the first time this year and I was like, this is exactly, yep. It's so cheesy and so ridiculous, but it's like swashbuckling fun in a way that I love. And I just had so much fun with it. I sat there and I was like, you know what? Heck yeah. This is exactly what I needed to just sit down and have fun with and watch and have a good time. But I'm also the world's probably loudest Prometheus defender in the entire world. Like it is the first Alien movie I ever saw. And I was like, please give me more of this immediately. Whereas everyone who dragged me to see the movie that loved the Alien movies was like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, I had a good time. I don't know. I loved it. And I think Fassbender's great in it. I think the whole cast is great. I think the horror elements of it are great. I have a fun time with it. I'm kind of just very taken by the world that I was introduced to in it, especially as my first point of contact with any form of Alien movie. It just got me really excited about going back and seeing what the others had to offer, seeing what other characters were involved. And I guess the fact that people have problems with it as a connected kind of story to the rest of the movies didn't really faze me because I hadn't seen any of the other ones, so it doesn't really bother me. I just kind of like it for what it is as its own kind of movie. But yeah, I'm gonna vote for Prometheus because I freaking love Prometheus so very, very much.
Mara.
I think actually Parker said something that is very interesting to me. That the Phantom is kind of like Indiana Jones. It's like the Royal Crown Cola to Coca-Cola comparison. Like it's the RC Cola to Indiana Jones. And
it's the Indiana Jones that we have at home when you're talking to your mom about getting food. Like
yeah, exactly. But like I don't hate it. I don't have a strong affection for it. And clearly that's not age related because I am the acceptable age to like that movie. But
and I'm not.
I mean, we've talked about this before, but while Prometheus does have some fluctuations in like it, Ridley wanted to make a certain movie. The studio wanted him to make a different movie. And so it kind of became a little bit of both in a way because he had to do the tie-in as close as he possibly could at the very end. But I can forgive that because I really think it's such a gorgeous, beautiful movie. I do think that people are trying really, really hard in it. I also think that it has something that I've never seen before in a movie, which is a little monster that's a penis and a vagina at the same time. And that's beautiful. And it breaks a man's arm. Yeah, and it breaks a man's arm in a really aggressive way. And there's something to be said for, what does that really tell us about ourselves? It says that men and women can be villains. Yeah, I know, right?
Sexuality is really the cause of every arm break.
That's deep. I really got to think about that one.
But no, I don't have the aggression towards the movie that a lot of people do. I can understand why even me as a person who absolutely loves the alien world and the mythology and the earlier films, particularly the first two are just outstanding. I try to look at this as much as in that universe as it's required to be, but as much of its own thing as it can be. And I really enjoy it every time I revisit it. The music in it is just so low-key fabulous. Really helps shape the world. So yeah, sadly for the Phantom, not that I hate it. I just really like Prometheus.
Adam.
Yeah, so Prometheus is visually, I think, really impressive. I love the design of the film. I think when you get down to the nitty gritty of the plot, it's a fairly interesting story, but because it's a bit retrofitted to connect to the Alien franchise, that's always kept me from really latching into the film but I like it. I do. And if it beats the Phantom, I'm not going to be mad, but I am going to be that guy because I do love the Phantom. And the reason I love the Phantom is, to what Robert was saying, it's technically Indiana Jones versus Citizen Kane in a lot of ways. Like if you boil it down to like Treat Williams' character and Billy Zane's character, but also I love James Remar. He's like the B villain, and he dresses like Indiana Jones, and so do all of his henchmen. They all have fedoras and vests and stuff, and they run around. Mm-hmm. I think the Phantom has more modest ambitions than Prometheus. And I think we're comparing apples and oranges here in a lot of ways. But what the Phantom represents to me is it was this last gasp. After Batman 1989, we had this near decade of films that, really harkened back to classic, serialized superheroes. And I just, part of it's nostalgia, but part of it is like going back and watching these movies, whether it's The Phantom, Dick Tracy, The Shadow, they all they're just so saturated to me in a good way. Darkman, yes, as well, but Darkman's kind of in a class of its own for me. These are like all go back to a certain period in time, and they reimagine it with all these pulpy elements that didn't exist. And I love that. I love playing with history. I love toying around in that sandbox. And The Phantom came out in 96 when no one was asking for this movie. The fact that it made any money is impressive because it's ridiculous. Billy Zane's dressed like a grape, and there's not a whole lot in it that people hadn't seen already in different movies, but it's earnest, it's sweet, it's got fun action to it. And it really knows what it is. Whereas Prometheus, I think, has a small identity crisis. I'd give the visual aesthetic to Prometheus by a landslide, but my heart is with the Phantom, so I will vote for the Phantom.
Marisol?
Marisol.
When we merge and become one human. That's
yes. When our spirits link. Look, I'm already speaking as if you and I are talking. I would like to say that so it was fun, similar to what you're saying. All these, for me, especially as a kid, I just was like, I was gobbling up this like late 90s, like these old fashioned, because I loved Raiders of the Lost Ark, loved Indiana Jones. And we were getting in the late 90s these, especially then, I think, the better string of old-timey, big, bold, classic adventures. The Phantom, Mask of Zorro, The Mummy, and I think the Phantom draws the shortest stick out of those. I don't think it holds up. I don't think it's as timeless and holds up as much, but it is fun. I haven't revisited that movie in years, but it is freaking fun. It absolutely does capture that spirit of adventure. We get super sexy bad Catherine Zeta-Jones as a villain a couple years before she's super sexy good Catherine Zeta-Jones in Mask of Zorro. And that's kind of fun. And Billy Zane is great. He's a little teeny tiny bit bland. Definitely Harrison Ford would punch his lights out as far as the charisma race goes. But Treat Williams is chewing scenery up left and right. And he is going for broke. And I always remember that scene where like he has like the little like blades inside the microscope, and he has like, he's out of control. He's bad shit. He's murdering bitches left and right in this movie in really graphic ways. He like spears a man and like during like a board meeting. It's
pretty awesome.
He's off his rocker. And he is going for it. So the villain does outshine the hero in the movie, but it's still fun. which is ironically sometimes what people say about Batman movies. But all that being said, everybody's making valid points about Prometheus. Prometheus is fascinating. It is absolutely gorgeous. The most tragic thing about it is the studio interference, how you could feel that right as we're entering in the third act. The studio's like, but we need this to be an alien movie, and so we need to have face huggers. We need to have just scientists who just do stupid things like for no reason at all and just take off their masks and put their faces in front of things and like we need to have stupid scientists. These are supposed to be the smartest people in the universe, but they're dumb as rocks the second they get on this planet. This is what they've been training for their entire life, but all of a sudden they forget their training. We need to have that. You feel all of that, and that does make Prometheus messy in the third act, but the foundation is just too strong. It is gorgeous. This backstory with the engineers, I'm so here for it. It is so lush. Fassbender. And there are pros and cons to both of these movies, definitely, but on the whole, I'm going to give it to Prometheus because I have rewatched that movie more. And I think that it is important, especially if you are a fan of the Alien franchise. I think there's a lot to appreciate here about exploring that world and really fleshing it out more. So Prometheus.
Very quickly, I would have voted for Prometheus, even though I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, for basically the exact reason that Parker said. Everything in the birthing scene is probably the most terrified I've ever been in a movie theater. That was pure, just absolute horror mastery, and that alone gets it through to the next round for this movie. So yeah,
it's your favorite scene in the whole world.
I have.
Jacob, big fan of videos of births. Big fan of that.
That was.
But what
that,
about
I
the
have
penis
never
vagina
been.
monster, Jacob?
Yeah, Prometheus is actually a metaphor for sexuality.
Prometheus. Look, I'm not the biggest fan of Prometheus, but it's very good. There are a lot that I do very much enjoy out of that movie. Michael Fassbender is incredible in that film. He is absolutely incredible. Next up, Scott Pilgrim versus the World versus Atomic Blonde. Adam, I haven't started with you yet.
All right. So I think we mentioned this last time we covered Scott Pilgrim versus the World. This is a movie that there's a lot I like about it, but I'm not as passionate about this film as a lot of people. I'm not here to poke holes in it, though. That's not that doesn't interest me. I just the movie doesn't resonate with me as much. That's all. But I like the panache. I like the music. I like the humor. There's a lot to enjoy in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Atomic Blonde is a movie that I had. Again, it's one of those situations where I had very modest expectations. And, the quick pitch for the movie, is like from the producers of John Wick, here's Charlize Theron kicking people. And then when I finally saw it, I was really into it because it wasn't just her mowing through people, and it was her using her surroundings so cleverly. I just remember as soon as I saw her use the refrigerator as a weapon, like repeatedly with the doors, the choreography in that scene alone is so great. The plot is very basic. But that doesn't offend me. There's not a whole lot of meat to it. It's a pretty standard espionage story, but I like that it's, a throwback, to the 80s and all that. But yeah, I think it's a really cool movie, that wasn't overselling itself, wasn't overextending itself. I admit that Scott Pilgrim versus the World has more of a legacy. It's got more of a rabid fan base, and I'd expect it to. I would be surprised if it didn't go through to the next round. But me personally, I'm more inclined to revisit Atomic Blonde. Don't put me in the stocks for that one, please. I know people love Scott Pilgrim, so I'm not trying to be contrarian here. I'm just speaking honestly, and we'll leave it at that. And we'll get more into Scott Pilgrim if he makes it to the next round.
Mara.
This is legit tough because these are both very stylized in different ways. I love the sense of humor in Scott Pilgrim. Like, that really works for me. Like, the vegan police is like just one of the things I cherish so much. But I will say one of the things that I have to at least use just to start to differentiate the two is I really, 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 really hate Scott. He's the fucking worst. And I don't like either the original ending or the ending we actually got. I think Scott should have ended up lonely and by himself. And so the one thing Atomic Blonde really does, which, spoiler alert for the almost 5-year-old movie now, it really sticks the landing with the triple cross. And I'm also a huge sucker for really well done fight choreography and fight cinematography. And that movie just knocks it out of the park. I don't love needle drops in movies when they're like useless and it's to make up for what the movie doesn't have. But both of these movies, but really I want to focus on Atomic Blonde because, man, the 80s is just like my era. Like, I was born 10 years too late because I should have grown up listening to 80s music because 90s music is just not my speed. But like, man, every needle drop in that movie is just totally sick. Even the ones that are like anachronistic, I don't even care. And at face value, I was looking at this and I thought, man, I love the style. I love how unique and singular that Scott Pilgrim feels, because Atomic Blonde, it's not super unique in the sense that like it's basically Jane Wick, but I really think that overall it just sticks it so much more for me. And I hate saying it because I love Scott Pilgrim. I love it. Every time I watch it, I'm like, man, I just really love this movie. But Atomic Blonde really did some stuff, and I wish it would have been more popular. But I'm gonna give it my vote, whether it moves forward or not, because I think it deserves my vote.
All right, Robert.
Yeah, I like both these movies fine. I'm also not as high on Scott Pilgrim as most people, I think, in the ether. I agree with Mara that I think Atomic Blonde absolutely sticks the landing on the triple cross. I think both James McAvoy and Sophia Boutella and Charlize, they all know what movie they're in. They're able to play off each other. The chemistry, both like the tension of the actual spy stuff that's going on, and also like when it comes to Sophia Boutella's character, like everything that she's doing, playing off her sexuality, both with Charlize and the other people she's targeting. Like, there's just a lot that this movie gets right that is really entertaining to watch. That being said, I do think Scott Pilgrim is the better movie. I am going to give it my vote, if only for Brie Larson singing Black Sheep. That is one thing Atomic Blonde does not have. And, you know, I want to push back on just one small thing Mara said. I also don't think Scott is a good character. I think he's a shitty person in a lot of respects. But I also think it's sometimes interesting to watch movies where, like, the protagonist isn't entirely likable and how the movie deals with that. I think this movie didn't, you know, for lack of a better word, punish him enough for the bad behavior. But I do think it's sometimes interesting it's fascinating to watch movies that don't have likable characters.
You can have unlikable protagonists, but you have to reconcile that in some way.
Right.
I disagree with that entirely, but I'll talk about that in a minute.
I just want to say real quick, watching both Taylor and Marisol have this panic attack when Robert started with having his answer.
My heart started racing.
I was about to strangle Jacob live on camera.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I thought this was about to be the Men in Black situation where I was like, Men in Black got this, and then every next person that went was like, no, I'm not voting for Men in Black.
Very quickly, I am voting for Scott Pilgrim because I think it is the better movie, because Atomic Blonde just didn't work for me, whereas in Scott Pilgrim, which also is a enjoyable but not a great movie, I do get there's more in it that I can enjoy, because Edgar Wright's filmmaking is 1,000 times better than David Leitch.
That's fair.
Who would like to?
I mean, I guess I will. I don't know. And this is not aimed at anybody, but I'm just so over the recent wave of just smashing Scott Pilgrim to the ground because people are like, Scott's a bad person, so you can't like this movie. Like, I am so, like, just, that has been the recent fad on the internet of Scott's a bad person. So if you like Scott Pilgrim, you're endorsing bad behavior because movies are now our morality police, and that's how we teach people things. And it's just, like, it's what I've seen on the internet for the past like year now. And I'm just sitting here like, I don't like Scott as a person. Scott is the worst person, but can we just talk about literally everyone else in the whole film and enjoy that the fact that the humor in it's great, the music in it's great. It's probably my favorite comic book movie that's ever been made because of the way that it uses comic elements. And I'm just like, I know there's so many people who don't like that movie, and I'm so fine with it, but I'm just so tired of people being like, Scott's a bad person, so you can't like this movie. And that's been my whole Twitter feed now that they're doing like the anniversary screenings of Scott Pilgrim and since the vinyl dropped. And I'm just like, just please let me like my problematic movies in peace. Just let me be a problematic person in my own little cube alone with just, I hate Scott as well, but just let it happen. Just let it live. Just please. I don't hate Atomic Blonde, but I got freaking bored. I was like, these are a bunch of beautiful people, but I'm just bored. I like the moments where Charlize is kicking ass, but everything else is just, I was like, this is really badly directed. Like, it's just not good.
Marissa?
No sudden movements, Jacob.
I'm saying this directly to Jacob because he doesn't like Scott Pilgrim as much as I do, and it's another bane of my existence kind of thing.
Just realizing how much
he has
this
multiple shadow Twitter accounts where he trolls you.
Yeah.
I'm finally realizing how much of this bracket specifically is movies that I'm not the biggest fan of that you adore.
Yeah, and so you're making it an attack personally on me to try and eliminate the movies that I like that you don't like. Is basically this whole bracket.
And I voted for every single one of them so far.
Yeah,
So
you have. Yep.
Marisol.
These are both very stylish movies in their own right, deserve a lot of credit. Atomic Blonde definitely has, like you're saying, Mara, that Jane Wick with kind of elements of Drive too, just that 80s, like neon bubblegum aesthetic of Drive and that feeling and that ice coolness coursing throughout its veins. And I am impressed by Leach. Well, I think I will never forgive Leach for Hobbs and Shaw. I know that he went so far back after that film. He needs like 20 Atomic Blondes to make up for it. But he was in control with Atomic Blonde. And yes, everything you guys have said, gorgeous fight choreography, a little slightly more kind of, you can see kind of like the beats a little bit more in the choreography in Atomic Blonde than you can in like John Wick, but still Charlize absolutely badass. And we were discussing this, how the vulnerability, which is also similar to John Wick, the vulnerability of her character, like the mortality of her, like we see her in pain, we see her having to heal herself. And the consequences of all her death-defying, action helps this thing go a long way. James McAvoy is awesome, as always. Atomic Blonde is a great film. I really do enjoy it. Scott Pilgrim is one of my absolute favorite films of the 2010s. And this movie, there's not a single inch of this movie that is not firing on all cylinders. Edgar Wright is using every possible element in the language of film to speak in this film. He's using, obviously, dialogue to tell something. He's using characters to tell something. The actors are telling something. The shot choice is telling something. The music is telling something. The editing is telling something. The motions, like every possible element, every bone in this film's body is on overdrive. Just exploding, gushing with style and purpose and deliberation, and in beautiful harmony with each other. There are so many iconic moments that just make me smile. I can't even begin. I don't even know where to begin. When I saw this movie in 2010, when it came out, my least favorite part was Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim. That's the weakest element of the film. And I didn't give a goddamn because there are 8 billion other amazing things in that. Every single one of the exes, the evil exes, Chris Evans almost kind of stealing the movie, you know, as an evil ex. Everything about him, everything about it, every single little touch, every single micro touch in this film is excellent. The little 8-bit Universal logo that comes up when he comes out of his trailer, everything in that scene is gold. There was just too much. It's such a gold mine, this film, of billions of little just home run moments. And it is, I salivate when I think about this film because it's a feast. It's a feast for the eyes. It's a feast for the senses, not in sensory overload sense, but a nonstop, just a buffet line of a filmmaker, like I said, firing on all cylinders. I think it's excellent example of a comic book film, an excellent example of a comic book film turning into a video game film somehow. I love that everybody explodes into coins. I love the hyper reality in which it exists and doesn't bat an eye. Wallace is the greatest supporting character in the world, and I want him to be my gay BFF. And yeah, and everybody in the film does hate Scott. And I do hear you, Mara, about I think that's always been problematic, just the ending of them not being sure about which ending to pick, and then still not even picking the right one. I do think Scott should have ended up by himself, but that's like, if you enjoy 99.8% of the film is just an absolute gorgeous, like just such a home run. I'm not gonna lose sleep over films. There are plenty of excellent films that don't stick landings. And I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. This is one of my favorite films in the last 20 years. Oh,
sorry, I shouldn't have said that word.
Except for Alfred Hitchcock's Suspicion.
Sorry.
Right, you could miss me with that one. They didn't stick the landing, and that ruined the entire film. But that's neither here nor there. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
To be fair, I love this movie. I love the movie. Just to be fair.
Oh no! That also wasn't like that. That was not like me trying to suggest that you didn't, or specifically trying to attack your angle. It just got me thinking about it. You just got me thinking about how I really feel about it, and trying to stack some of those things against each other.
All right. With that, Scott Pilgrim versus the World does move through. Next up, Star Wars: The Last Jedi versus V for Vendetta.
Don't even ask me to go first.
I'm not asking you to go first. Don't worry. Parker, I'm going to get you to go first, though.
Oh, goody.
I don't think anybody wants to go first on this.
Okay. Sorry, I need to gather my thoughts before I start talking.
Before you guys got there, so.
Okay, so I think I'm going to vote the way I'm going to, because for one of these movies, every time I rewatch it, I like it more. And one of these movies, every time I rewatch it, I like it a little bit less. For that reason, I'm going to vote for V for Vendetta. I think it's a movie that I find new things in every time I watch it. I think the political things that are going on in that movie are fascinating. I think everything that's going on with the detectives is really interesting. I think the chemistry between Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving, even though we never see Hugo Weaving's face, is incredible. I think his opening monologue is really, really great. I think the whole idea of governments should be afraid of their people and everybody unifying around, under one unanimous, voice and mask at the end, I think is impactful. I find new things to like every time I see V for Vendetta. The Last Jedi is a movie that I liked when it first came out, but I was very hesitant about it. And I still like the movie fine. It's just a Star Wars movie that is very on the fringe for me. I'm just like, yeah, I could take it or leave it. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff. I think Rian Johnson is an excellent filmmaker. There's just a lot of stuff that doesn't hit for me. And that's not just like the Canto Bight stuff. That's also like, I really don't like the relationship between Finn and Rose, and I am not the biggest fan of where Luke is in this movie. There's just a lot of stuff that is super hit or miss for me in Last Jedi. and it's also long as hell. And if I'm going to invest time in watching a movie that's really long, I want to be in love with it and be enjoying every second of it and finding new things every time. And I understand that I'm in the minority with some of those opinions probably, but I am going to go V for Vendetta. I think Last Jedi is good, but there's 6 Star Wars movies I'd rather watch, 7 maybe. I'd rather watch a lot of other Star Wars movies than Last Jedi.
Adam.
So when V for Vendetta came out, like a lot of people, I'm like, yay, the new Wachowski movie. Like we all just assumed they directed it, and that's not the case. But you feel their fingerprints all over it in a very good way. It's kind of a Spielberg poltergeist situation. So V for Vendetta, also for me, interestingly, like that came after shortly after discovering the movie Equilibrium, which is, just such a fun, more ridiculous version of this story that tries to take itself way too seriously towards the end. But I love that about Equilibrium. And both of those movies, can trace their roots back to 1984, both the book and the film. And that's what I like about these 1984 reduxes, if you will, that basically have an action aesthetic. And that's cool. That's like a whole subgenre of filmmaking. And V for Vendetta is one of the best ones. The style of it, the simplicity of the story, and the fact that it really nails, calling it steampunk would be a stretch, but the reason why that comes to mind is, I watched this movie and it feels like it's, a Three Musketeers movie set in the 21st century. I love that about it. I love that we don't see his face. Spoiler alert, I guess. I think that's great. I think that commitment to it, I respect the hell out of it from Hugo Weaving. And I think the movie's terrific. It's hard for me because when it comes to Star Wars, I am someone who looks at every individual movie and what that movie was trying to do. And when Rian Johnson got his chance to make a Star Wars movie, he put his heart and soul into it, and he made a movie with, a very specific take on these characters in this mythology. And, I don't think he set out to be divisive at all. But the fact that the movie ended up being divisive, I think it fostered a lot of toxic conversation, which none of us are happy about. But I think the legacy of the film is it really brought back the idea of what Star Wars can do in terms of being a conversation. And that's what I love about The Last Jedi. I love that it does interact with our love for these characters, with our obsession with the mythology, and challenges are for lack of a better term, sacred takes on characters like Luke Skywalker, especially. I relate, I'm not, in my 60s yet, but I do relate to Luke Skywalker in this film as someone who has, reached the end of his rope in certain professions. And I'm just done. And, I got to find that energy to help the person train my replacement, essentially, when I want to move on from something. And you gotta find a way to keep that person, invested, without imparting your cynicism onto them. And I think that's something Luke does by the end of this film in a really beautiful way. And I also think it's one of the most visually striking Star Wars movies, if not the most visually striking Star Wars movie ever made. It's imperfect, but most Star Wars movies are. And I think out of the modern era, it's one of the most ambitious, and I really respect it for that. So it's by a slight margin because I do love Star Wars a lot. That I'll go with The Last Jedi, but V for Vendetta is so good. So I'm sorry. I am.
Marisol?
Yeah. Very interesting choices. I think you can really talk about pros and cons. I don't think either of these films has like a huge extreme advantage over the other. but I'll just say my personal angles. I do think Last Jedi, like what you're saying, it does shake it up in terms of reimagining some of our favorite characters, and I think it just comes down to personal taste. With Last Jedi, I think you see, I think you see a wild swing of opinions on this one more than many other Star Wars films, because it really does come down to personal taste and what your angle is, how this landed with you. Johnson's storytelling approach. For me, I think I'm more of like a comfort food with Star Wars. I think I like, because I love Force Awakens. So like, I think I'm more like respect without outright enjoying a lot of choices made in The Last Jedi. And it doesn't mean I dislike the film. I do enjoy the film. It's really hard for me to get over the extremely forced humor in the film, where they just stop a scene to, make Hux look like really stupid all of a sudden. It just kills so much momentum.
Well, Hux is a big nerd.
I mean, he's a buffoon. But like, some things were there would be moments, like I was like, for a second, there's like moments in The Last Jedi where I suddenly think I'm watching Spaceballs. And I'm like, I was like, is that joke is this supposed to screech like is it supposed to be that silly all of a sudden? And everybody's just laughing at the villain, or Luke's tickling Rey's hands with like leaves or something. Like something like those moments really throw me out of it. I don't need those. But not my kind of attempts at humor. But I move on. V for Vendetta. So again, pros and cons to that. V for Vendetta is the themes, the messages, and the power of V for Vendetta is like earth shattering. It's really, really, really hard to kind of get over it. And I get goosebumps whenever I watch that film. Dario Marianelli's score gets under your skin. You feel it in your bones. And I think that V for Vendetta is just kind of just more important, even just because of the themes. And again, this is a Wachowski thing. They're really lofty in their ambition. They swing for the fences, and their work is really impactful, all the more impactful for it. Even if there are flaws in V for Vendetta, don't think it's a perfect film, but it is more memorable to me and more impactful and means more to me than The Last Jedi does. So again, comes down to personal taste, and these are both films worthy, but I would swing towards V for Vendetta on this one.
Yeah, this one's tough for me because I just fucking hate talking about The Last Jedi. Like, for the person who probably loves this movie the most in the universe, the last 4 years has really killed any desire I ever have to talk about it with anybody for any reason, which really makes me sad. But it's just, like, I feel like the things that a lot of people get hung up on with The Last Jedi are things that people criticize Marvel movies for not doing. Like, The Last Jedi steps outside of what people were used to Star Wars doing. And the same kind of conversations I see a lot of the time around Marvel movies being the same cookie cutter kind of story, the same way to tell a story, never really steps outside of what it does. Those same people were like, yeah, but if you touch Star Wars and try to do something different, I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, that's essentially the discourse that upsets me, I think, the most, because I think for me, The Last Jedi made me want to fall in love with Star Wars again, for someone who was kind of overseeing the same thing told over and over and over again. And I loved The Force Awakens, but I was excited for that to bloom into something that we didn't just see all the time. Something that was different and something that was visually striking in a way that I never thought we would get from a Star Wars movie. And I don't know. Now I'm just like, I never want to talk about it ever again. I just want to enjoy it in my own little hole where no one ever says anything to me about it. Because it's just, it should just be a personal preference thing, but the conversation around it has never been that for the most part. but it is probably my favorite Star Wars movie, just point blank, that's ever been made. And because of the super divisive response around it, I don't think we're ever going to get a Star Wars movie quite like it ever again. So I just have to cherish it for what it is and then let everyone else enjoy the just barrage of constant Luke Skywalker we're going to get for the rest of eternity that I hate with a burning passion. Because that's the only story they want to tell now, because everyone hated the sequel trilogy so much and just wanted these new characters to die that I'm just going to pretend The Last Jedi is the only sequel movie we ever got and just live in my own little fantasy world. That is all I'm going to say about The Last Jedi, because I could talk about it for a really long time, but I just don't ever want to do it again. V for Vendetta, I think, is a very striking movie visually. I think it's a very important movie in the messages that it's trying to convey. I think that it's a movie that I really appreciated so very much the first time that I saw it, because it just really sunk in with me. I got everything that they were trying to tell me on a first watch. And I do have so much love for it. But if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to pick The Last Jedi. Like, it is my favorite Star Wars movie that's ever been made. And there's not really much you can put up against it that would make me pick against it. So I'm going to pick The Last Jedi, and I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to change my headphone battery because it's yelling at me.
Okay.
Because of your opinion on The Last Jedi.
She can't hear you. She literally has to take
good timing.
Mara.
This is tough a little bit because I'm very mixed on The Last Jedi. It showed me some of the most beautiful, inspired things I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. And it also gave me some of my least favorite things I've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. So it's really hard to balance that, especially against V for Vendetta, because I love that movie so very much. It really is. This is tough. I mean, I'm going to vote for V for Vendetta, and it's not just because there are things I really, really don't like in The Last Jedi. I think it's just because looking at intention and looking at consistency of that intention, I think V for Vendetta knew what it wanted to do. I think it did it to a T. I think that it didn't stray from its path. It felt very consistent throughout the film. And I do feel like Last Jedi, even for people that love it, that it just feels very segmented in a way that it's weird because I don't get the sense that there was a lot of interference with that movie, but it feels like there was, because it feels like different people had marks on different parts of it in a way. Mm-hmm. And even though, oh my gosh, I love when people use like either pre-existing stuff or like scientific stuff to make something new and say something so cool. Like, I love the idea that Han Solo has the throwaway line about making sure that he tracks the course for light speed because you could bounce off a star or something. And just that visual and that absence of sound. Like, that's just one of the coolest images I've ever seen in a movie ever, when Laura Dern is like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Like, so amazing. But I think I'm going to have to vote for V for Vendetta, because I felt like even if there were parts of it that for some people were too dark, it was at least consistent and knew what it was and knew what it was saying. And that worked for me, especially the fact that it's like so incredibly depressing. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. But I regret to say that it's not because I hate The Last Jedi. It's just because I think V for Vendetta nails it.
All right. And with that, V for Vendetta moves on. All right. Next up, Road to Perdition versus Spider-Man 2. Mara.
All right. This is mean, but I think that for me personally, there's only one option. Like, I love Spider-Man 2. I really do. But Road to Perdition is just it's a masterpiece. Like, it is gorgeous. I marvel at the cinematography. The score is fantastic. The performances are great. Story's wonderful. It's honestly way too good to be in Inner Geekdom. Like, it's a legit film, like film with capital F. Just such a gorgeous, beautiful movie. Excellent in all ways. Check mark. Move on.
Marisol?
This might be my first. I don't know. It's been a while since I had a fuck you, Jacob. I don't know if this is a fuck you, Jacob, but this is like you.
It's an F off, Jacob.
This is you, son of a bitch. This is getting around there. These are two terrific film. Like this isn't fair. This matchup. Both these films should be on some final lists. Like Mara, you were saying, Road to Perdition is a straight up prestige film. This is an Oscar caliber film, like an actual one. Like that you don't know it's based on a comic book unless somebody tells you, and you're like, what? Like it just blows your mind. It's one of those things you can just take your grandpa to, and he's like, that was a fine picture, and he'll never know that it was that it was a comic book movie. Like it is
a fine picture.
Fine. But
grandpa.
Like that, and that really deserves to, like, that we need to class up this joint. That deserves to stay in this bracket. Like that is essential to keep this like, what a tremendous movie. Like Sam Mendes, like what a hell of a follow-up to American Beauty. This film is gorgeous, is breathtaking. What is it? Thomas Newman, the score? It's Newman, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thomas Newman's score is just achingly gorgeous. Absolutely one of the scores that I have rotating on my Spotify. And the cinematography, just the starkness of the cinematography. Very good use of promo pre-Zack Snyder. Very, very impressive use of promo, especially very dramatic. That shootout in the rain at the end, with Newman in the rain, that is breathtaking. And captivating, just a completely emotionally engaging father-son struggle. The story of this kid trying to understand his dad on his own terms. It's a gangster story, and you could absorb it on that level, but it's a coming of age story for this kid in this movie, trying to really understand who his father was and how complex the role of being a father is when your father is technically a bad person. It's an amazing film. I feel weird now talking about Spider-Man 2 because that's an amazing film as well. Like it then takes, like I said before, it takes what Spider-Man did well and takes it to the next level. Raimi's like, I got it. This is I'm going to tighten this shit up, and I'm just going to double down on what made the first one work. Spider-Man 2 is one of the best examples. If I was trying to introduce somebody if somebody had never seen like a superhero movie, and you want to think, there may be superhero movies that I think are like 5-star films that I may unabashedly love personally more than Spider-Man 2. But I think if you're trying to show somebody the essence and what kind of gets it and captures just completely top to bottom, front to back, kind of the potential of superhero filmmaking at its best. This sounds really weird to say, I don't know, but I hope this makes sense. I would probably show him Spider-Man 2. Like, I would probably show him that and be like, this is how you capture the excitement, the thrill, the fun, the stakes, of it's potential. It's a silly world, but everything, the consequences are real. This is how you capture it, and you have a shitload of fun doing it. I love more than any other superhero who's just like, man, it's tough being a superhero. Like, how am I, I'm just, it's so busy. Like I'm losing my train of thought, but what I'm trying to say is I love the conflict that Peter Parker goes in. That's one of the things that makes this film so great. Is one of my favorite parts of this film, besides the obvious visual spectacle of Doc Ock and the fight scenes with Doc Ock, is Peter Parker struggling to keep all his shit together and everybody kicking him down this entire movie. Nothing's ever good enough. That is so relatable. I think we can all relate to that. You're supposed to be the greatest superhero in the world, but you just feel like you're behind every step of the way. And Peter is struggling throughout this entire film just to make everybody happy. He's failing at school. He's failing with the woman he loves. He's failing with his family. He's failing to pay rent. Like, it's just, he's failing his job. He can't even, like, he feels like such a loser personally in his life, even though everybody thinks he's the amazing Spider-Man. He's so important to all these people, but he feels like such a loser. I think that is really powerful. Maybe not as serious, as serious as The Road to Perdition, but still super powerful. I don't know which one to pick. Christ.
Oh, he can't help with this one. I'm sorry.
Damn you,
He's
Jacob. What? Oh.
Make Robbie go, and then you can go later.
I can't be swayed. No, I can't be swayed. I can't. I have to find the answer in here, Mar. It has to come from me. I can't be swayed by other people's opinions, because then that will really start to steer me in one direction. I got to go with my gut. Spider-Man 2.
Wow.
Don't wrote about picking Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is an awesome movie.
No, that wasn't like because of that. That was because I don't want to choose between these two. This is a dead tie for me, but I picked Spider-Man 2.
Adam?
Huh? Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which one would you like to pick?
What? Oh. What? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I
I'm
thought
sorry.
that was a bit. Was that real?
Sorry.
No.
Oh,
No,
Please.
I honestly, I lost my train of thought. For a second, I just made a fool of myself. I'm sorry. So, Road to Perdition or Spider-Man 2? That's the question. Yes.
it is, yes.
Okay. Yes. So, Road to Perdition. I agree with what Marisol and Mara said about it just being a next level comic book adaptation that really stands in a class of its own. It's, as a fan of Boardwalk Empire, the funny thing is I saw Road to Perdition after I watched that entire series, and I was like, oh wow, okay. So like I could feel the influence of that story, whether Scorsese would admit it or not. Granted, he didn't do much with the series after the first season, but Road to Perdition is just one of those films that, it's a sneaky comic book adaptation, but once you have some familiarity with the source material, what's really really cool about it is it makes sense that it's based off of a comic book. It's pulpy without seeming unrealistic, just because the colors are very sumptuous throughout that film. I love Jude Law in this movie. I really do. I love that they gave him the comb over. It makes his character like oddly more sinister in a way. I don't know, like that he's like got this like issue with his vanity in a way, being a photographer.
They had to find a way to make him look creepy and not so handsome.
Yes.
2002 Jude Law, like
Right. It couldn't be
people's
Dickie
most
from
sexiest
like,
man. Yeah,
from, yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot that just really works in that film. Sadly, Paul Newman's last on-screen performance anyway. But a great one to go out on. And there's something to be said for Tom Hanks being way more intimidating than Daniel Craig in a movie. I think that's pretty great. So Spider-Man 2, when we were talking about Spider-Man earlier, Spider-Man 2 kept coming up because they're very linked in people's minds, as they justifiably so. It more often than not, the argument is which one of these is more impactful. And, the prevailing argument is that it's Spider-Man 2, but I think Spider-Man 2 gets that because we're able to get the origin stories out of the way. We're able to jump right into this movie and really enjoy him being Spider-Man. And for him to go through, the Superman 2 arc where he loses his powers is, it's a well-worn story, but it's new for Spider-Man, and it really works on his terms. I mentioned that this is a silly nitpick, but I just don't buy into Doc Ock being able to take that many punches to the face from Spider-Man. I feel like his jaw would be dislocated repeatedly.
Look like that.
His eye sockets would be crushed, and he would have like skull in matter in his brain. He'd be dead from punching.
That's graphic.
He would be, but the way I kind of figured that out in my head canon is once he gets like zapped and whatnot, like somehow like that psychopathic gene kicks in and he just doesn't. He can take a punch better. It's not important.
Maybe his nerve endings get fried like Kick-Ass when the thing.
Yeah.
The back of
Yeah,
his head.
that makes sense. That makes
There
sense.
you go.
So Spider-Man 2 is great. It's I think it's a legacy film in a lot of ways. The thing that's tough here is Road to Perdition is a movie that I think really is in a class of its own. And it's not that like movies like that in a history of violence, I think, should get eliminated because they're not comic booky enough. I don't think that at all. But when you put it up against something as big as Spider-Man 2, it's really hard for me. I mean, if a history of violence went up against Batman 89, I'd be having a similar crisis here. So it's with no disrespect towards Road to Perdition because it's excellent. But I have to vote for Spider-Man 2.
Wow. All right. Robert Parker.
It makes me so happy that everybody's voted for Spider-Man 2. I thought this was going to be closer votes-wise, and maybe it still will be. But I can only echo what everybody else has said about Road to Perdition. It is a masterpiece. It is excellent. It is brilliant. On a pound-for-pound filmmaking standpoint, it is probably a better movie than Spider-Man 2. But Spider-Man 2, for me, it's like what Batman 89 is to some people. It's just like Spider-Man 2, or just like Spider-Man 02 is. These two movies, like, combined, especially the first one, but honestly this one as well, they are what got me into superheroes. They are what got me into films. They're the first movies I ever remember watching 4 times in one day. Like these are the movies that I obsess over and still do. I hear the argument all the time of, Tobey Maguire, he's a good Peter, but he's not a great Spider-Man. And I could not disagree more. God, I love him in this role. Him in the bank saying, here's your change, when he's throwing it back at Doc Ock, is just peak Spider-Man. It's so good. It's so good. The scene where he's unmasked at the end in the warehouse in front of Mary Jane, and he's holding the thing up and he just goes, hi. This is really heavy. Like, it's so good. If you want to see a scene that is just like definitive about who the character of Spider-Man is, it's not even a scene that the character is in. It's when he goes to Aunt May's house and she's like packing up all the stuff with their neighbor, and she's like, he needs Spider-Man. Like that. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Rosemary Harris delivers the line much better than I could, but that scene is Spider-Man. That scene is so emotionally resonant. The whole movie is fantastic, and it also, at the same time, is a kick-ass Sam Raimi movie. The scene where they're operating on his arms is so just like mechanical horror. It's really, really great. I love that there's a redemption arc for Doc Ock. I love that he's morally gray. I like all the stuff that's happening with MJ and Harry in this movie too. How as more as Peter is dedicating himself to Spider-Man, he feels pulled away from his life as Peter. The duality there is just so great. And Road to Perdition fucking rocks and is so great. But Spider-Man 2 is just iconic for me.
So I got asked, what do I want to win the bracket? And I had about 4 or 5 movies, and Road to Perdition was one of them. This is my type of movie. Sam Raimi is an extremely talented and very, very gifted filmmaker, and he makes incredible movies. But he is not Sam Mendes. Sam Mendes is just a step above for me. Sam Mendes has made one bad movie, and it's a Bond sequel to me. Like I think Sam Mendes is one of the best working directors today, and I think what he does with Road to Perdition is incredible and is absolutely just everything I said about Spider-Man 2 with comparing it to Hellboy is 100% true. But Hellboy's not Road to Perdition, and this is one of the few movies in this draft that I would absolutely that is not going to be beaten by isn't going to be beaten by very many other films. So for me personally, so I am voting Road to Perdition. Yeah.
Does my vote matter?
It does actually.
Does it really?
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. Everyone else is having a crisis, and I'm just like, ugh.
I think I'm sensing a theme tonight.
Like every movie I love, everyone's like, kill it with fire. And every time everyone else has a crisis, I'm just like, I don't fucking care. All right. Well, I fucking hate Tobey Maguire, but I've never seen Road to Perdition, so this is.
I know we're getting that.
Jacob, how have you not been shown a Road to Perdition?
We're getting that. There's a long list, okay? I love you, but there is a long list.
I love you, but there's a long list.
I know, that's
Excuse
true.
me.
Actually, that is very true as well.
Do we need to do film couples therapy for you guys?
Probably.
Actually, yeah.
God.
New series coming to Finely Tailored 2022.
Or we just sit here and go, so what movie haven't you seen that makes me want to murder you? And then we just go on from there.
And then we watch that.
Yeah. God. Okay. I mean, I don't really have. This sucks because everyone like cares about this, and I don't. All right. I don't like Tobey Maguire, but I've seen Spider-Man 2, so there you go.
Okay.
What?
Nothing. No, you're right.
I've seen Spider-Man 2.
That's fair.
That's all I've got for you. That's all I got.
Mara, did you message Dan? I'm just very curious.
I did, but we don't need him though, do we?
No, we don't. What did he say?
Yeah,
I'm just out of curiosity.
He was thinking. He said he needed to give it serious thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, that's tough.
I mean, if the panel feels better about it, I can supersede my vote to someone who's seen both movies.
No, but here's the thing. No matter what, you would either become the deciding vote. No matter what.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't really matter what.
Like, the only thing is Spider-Man goes through. It's either Spider-Man goes through or it's a tie. So
what do you mean?
Because there's five. There's five.
If I give up my vote,
if you give up your vote, that means there's 5 of us right now, and it's 2-3. And then Dan.
But then how did I have the deciding vote?
You had the deciding vote.
You could have tied it if you went to Perdition.
Oh, okay. I think my
so,
headphones are dying again, by the way, but it's fine.
Oh, they are.
Doesn't matter.
I already
Anyway.
kind of want to change my vote to Road to Perdition.
Do it. No. Next bracket. What is the next matchup?
No, you after last week, I learned very quickly with no changing votes. So
that's fair. No, that's fair.
All right.
They're just
we got through round 2. We have 4 matchups left.
Woo!
Very quickly.
All right. Well, apparently,
I'm gonna take 30 seconds and go get a refill quick.
So just the headphones, the movie choices, everything is just everything is against me. It's fine.
The bubbles are happening, by the way.
Oh, here we go.
For fuck's sake.
Taylor's very much not enjoying this.
I think maybe because it didn't matter.
Today's not
he
a
said
kind function where I've had no sleep and just yep. And was drinking on a stream for 8 hours.
He said that he thinks he might have picked Spider-Man 2, but it's really close.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fair. I don't feel as bad now.
Well, that's the toughest matchup of tonight so far, I think.
All right. We have 4 left. And they're all second rounders. So if we want to get through this one somewhat quickly. All right. First up. Alien versus Predators. I am so annoyed it's not Predator. I am
Instead of
so annoyed.
No, it should be Aliens versus Predator.
It either has to be Aliens versus Predator or just Alien versus Predator, one or the other.
I am genuinely so annoyed. like I
AVP.
Right.
Well, it either has to be AV singular P or A's VP. We're wrong.
Yeah.
We got it wrong.
This is a mess.
So I am going to start.
All right, you start.
Oh, right. Yeah, actually, that makes sense. Okay, I'll start. I said way too long with that, and then you were just like, yeah, no, you go. Okay. Predators is a really great and fun movie, and I really enjoy it, and I am so glad I watched it because I had so much fun with it, and again, the second time, and it's one that definitely grew on me. But Alien is an all-time classic. Alien is one of the greatest films ever made, one of the greatest horror movies ever made. So I need to go with Alien. Adam.
Yeah, I think we gave Predators a lot of love. Went deep on it in the last round.
Freezing.
One more shout out to Goggins' jumpsuit. But it's Alien. Alien. It's just, it is such a delectable terror of a film, and I love it. I'll say more in the next round, hopefully. Alien.
I'll keep throwing my love behind Predators. I'll do it.
All right.
Alien's great. Predators is great. This is another one where I'm like, it's the opposite of the last one where I'm like, I'm happy either way. I'll be good. Everything's going to be fine. This very rarely happens for me, so I'm going to enjoy that everything's going to be fine. But I'm going to say Predators.
Marisol?
Yeah, as we had our chance, we sung our praises for Predators. Great movie. We're now at a point where there are going to be only great movies left in this bracket. Predators is a great movie. Alien, as you already said, is an all-timer. It's a genre-defining film, a couple of genre-defining films, and its impact is vastly. While I really enjoy Predators, impact Alien is blows it out of the water. Sorry. That's the sound of something being blown out of the water.
It's the sound of a xenomorph fart.
That's a xenofart. Yeah.
Mara.
Yeah, everyone's already said it. Predators.
The cat
fun.
has
Alien.
a lot of thoughts as well. The cat has many thoughts.
Sir Pounce. Hey, what are you voting for? Oh, now he's giving me the cold shoulder because he's like, you won't leave me until 12:30 a.m. But yeah, Predators fun, Alien essentially flawless. Alien.
Parker.
Yeah, I agree with Marisol when she said, I think that really sums it up.
Now they have thoughts.
Yeah. Hey, want to interrupt Robbie again?
Go for it, buddy. I'll submit to him. He can have all my votes. I miss him so much. Marisol also said it, actually.
The cat lives to interrupt.
I'm working
people.
Doesn't want to
talk unless they're interrupting somebody.
I should just name him Interrupting Cat.
Azorahai can speak whenever it's all him. Marisol also said it when we're getting to the point where now there will only be good to great movies. Like there's not the fluff isn't there anymore. Yeah. And as much as I love Predators, and I also think it might be the best Predator movie, and it really rocks. I also said earlier tonight that Alien, as Jacob said, what movies do you want to see win the tournament? Alien might be one of those for me. Alien might be one of the movies where I could see it winning. I think everybody said it. It's flawless. I'd be very satisfied to see it winning at least this corner of the bracket, maybe going all the way. It's Alien.
All right. And with that, Alien does move on. Okay.
This next one's going to be fun.
Yeah, this next one's going to be fun. Spider-Man versus Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think that's too meta. I'm sorry.
All right, let's go with the one who saw it. Let's go with who saw it coming. Mara.
Man, this is really, really tough. We've sung the praises for the people that were praising some of them already. So without getting too granular about it, I'm going to go with the one that I genuinely feel the most joy in the rewatch and that I find What? He disagrees apparently, but the one that I think for me resonates more, especially just as, even though Middle Eastern people aren't portrayed in the movie, but just for the representation of brown persons, I'm gonna pick Into the Spider-Verse because it resonates more with me, and I just thoroughly love rewatching it. But again, Spider-Man's probably gonna sail through this. I'm not gonna be mad. I love that movie.
Adam?
Yeah, you guys are right. At this point in the bracket, we have all good movies and Goblet of Fire. And
I tried to change.
Which is
Mara
a
force-fed
movie.
me alcohol. I was making bad decisions.
I didn't know that one.
I don't want to hear about it.
Decision would actually have ramifications that mattered. I'm sorry.
Well, the kiss of death is whenever Mara, you're just like, you always. That's when I start to get nervous, when you'll be like, I know I'm going to be the only one who's going to vote for this, but you're like the first one to vote. So like, and you're like, but I'm going to vote for this, and then I'm
Taylor and I come in like the hammer.
Tasting it, yeah, and then like the next 3 people agree with you. That's how it always starts.
Still feeling
Well, I mean that though. That's where I'm gonna put my vote. All I'm saying is, if Spider-Verse makes it through, great, fantastic. I voted for it. I mean it, but I'm not gonna be mad if Spider-Man goes through. These are 2 great movies.
Yeah, I mean, I voted for both of these in the previous round. Lot of Spider-Man action. But here's the thing. I made my case for why Spider-Man 2002 is very important to me. That and Spider-Man 2 have both made it to this next round. Into the Spider-Verse represents a very pivotal moment of evolution for the character and all the many iterations of that character that up until that movie was released really had only lived on the page. And while I have more personal history with the Raimi film, Spider-Man 2 also made it through. And that does influence my vote a little bit, to be honest. So that gives, in this particular situation, I'm going to vote for Into the Spider-Verse because it's a very special movie. And I love watching both movies, to be honest. But I think Spider-Man 2 has a better shot at going the distance than the first Spider-Man. So I'll say Into the Spider-Verse.
Parker.
I don't want to.
Well, guess what, Robbie? No one cares what you want.
I know. You sound like my mom.
Do I sound smoking hot? Because your mom is so fat.
You make too many of those jokes. This is not the first time she's made those jokes.
His mom.
It doesn't sound like she's joking to me, but fair
she's
enough.
never seen a picture of my mother.
That is such a lie. I've stalked you on Facebook. I know what everyone in your family looks like.
That's probably true, actually.
Maggie's.
Was that supposed to make him feel better?
Anyways, so you got Peter B. Parker versus Toby Peter. You got Green Goblin versus Green Goblin. You got MJ versus Spider-Gwen. Man, both of these movies have so much going for them. I just have to go with like the deepest desires of my heart and pick for the movie that made me love superheroes, and that's Spider-Man. I love Into the Spider-Verse, and I think I will not be sad if it moves on instead, but that first Raimi Spider-Man is just one of the most important and special movies to me, so gotta go for that.
All right, Marisol, I'm going to let you rip the Band-Aid off.
I think I'm going to chaos vote, and no. You think I'm going to vote for?
How many times have you voted no on Spider-Verse?
Now you can't do this.
I'm like, I proudly
Get this shit out of here.
I will probably be the person again to not vote for Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, not proudly. I'm not. There's no vendetta. I'm not out to get it. I'm not a hater. I'm just upfront with my shit. But yeah. Also, that combined with, like you were saying, like you were saying, Parker, Spider-Man means a lot to me. The first Spider-Man means a lot. So this is a very easy one for me. Spider-Man.
Well, Marisol, if it makes you feel any better, it's probably going to be the last time I vote for Spider-Man. Possibly, I don't 100% know. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Sorry. I'm voting Into the Spider-Verse because it's the best Spider-Man movie we've had yet. I love everything about this movie. I think. She wants food.
Want to say hi?
Buddy.
I think it's the best Spider-Man movie we've had yet. And I think everything about it just works on such an incredible level. And I also kind of with what Adam said, we have Spider-Man 2's in there. It just and that movie just resonates more with me. Like Spider-Man is a really good movie, but it's middle of the Spider-Man movies for me, whereas Into the Spider-Verse is easily the best Spider-Man movie we've had yet. So I'm going to go Into the Spider-Verse.
We all know how I feel about Tobey Maguire. That's all I'm going to say.
Taylor just has a photo of Tobey Maguire
with
little daggers in it.
I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But
right.
I if she played both roles, I think I'd prefer the movie. If she was Spider-Man and also MJ, that would be good.
Wow. Like a legend situation with the same actor and two. I could get behind it.
Yeah.
Well, with that, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse does move on.
All right.
Next up, we have final two matchups. Prometheus versus Scott Pilgrim versus the world. Parker, I'm going to let you start. No, I'm not, because you've apparently.
His whole computer was like, nope.
Pretending. Yeah.
Hi, what happened?
How drunk are you, Robbie? Jeez.
Not even a little bit. Not enough.
You were mooning at Jacob again.
Was I? Oh, that's adorable. No, my wife, once every like 2.5 hours, my Wi-Fi just goes to kaput for about 30 seconds. Was I called on?
Look into that. Yes.
Teacher London, am I up? Okay.
Yes, you're up.
That's unfortunate. Oh, man. I think I'm gonna go with Scott Pilgrim. I think it is a more put together movie. I think it's a movie that it's just more concise. It's tighter. It's stylized in a little bit better way. There are moments of Prometheus that feel very, very Ridley Scott, but the entire film of Scott Pilgrim, like somebody said it earlier, I think it was Marisol, every frame of this movie is Edgar Wright. I like I like both of these movies quite a bit. I like Prometheus more than most people, but I don't think it's better than Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim has a lot going for it, and although I don't love the manic pixie dream girl that is the character of Ramona Flowers, I just think that the movie as a whole, the music, the way the X's work into it, it is just a really, really good story. So I got to go for Scott Pilgrim. Although it doesn't have Guy Pearce and old man makeup, I have to go for Scott Pilgrim.
Okay, just a small tangent. Guy Pearce in the early 2010s has the weirdest.
He was on some shit.
The weirdest film choices.
What was the movie where he was in?
Lawless.
Lawless, that's what I'm thinking of.
Lawless,
yes. Lawless with Tom Hardy. Yeah. He was in
Lawless.
Prometheus. Like he was on some shit.
Anyway, yeah. Adam.
Yeah. So I voted against. I voted for the other options in the previous rounds for both of these. But I'm sorry. I guess I shouldn't have opened with that. Look.
Just fuck options real quick, and then let's.
I'll say this. I think what it comes down to for me is which story do I find more interesting? And while I think Scott Pilgrim is very clever, and I think it's a movie that has more than earned its following. I didn't mention this last time. I think the movie's good. I do. Occasionally this happens, and I do my best not to let this influence movies. But for me personally, Scott Pilgrim is just a bit of an oversaturated movie for me, due to my personal experience. Not with the Schmodown specifically, but just in the past decade, that movie is the movie for the longest time. You got to see Scott Pilgrim. You got to see Scott Pilgrim. And I did see Scott Pilgrim. And I liked it, but then it just kept getting talked about. And there are so many other movies out there that I frankly find more interesting. With Prometheus, even though it's kind of uneven, the thing I love about it is it's asking those philosophical, existential questions that I want in my sci-fi movies. And I like the abstract, representation of alien life in certain regards, combined with the familiarity of the engineers and how they are these humanoid creatures that are just a little bit larger, a little bit off. And I like the possibilities that presents. Prometheus stokes my imagination more, so I have a stronger response to it. So I'll vote for Prometheus.
I just want to say the way that Adam opened that up is the way that I feel most of these matchups through most of this bracket, where I go, well, I didn't vote for frickin' either of these, but all right, I guess I'll be the deciding vote. Cool.
Spider-Man 2 and Road to Perdition, they can both go to hell.
They can both just fuck right off. I don't care.
Trash.
Well, Taylor, what would you vote for?
See, this one hurts me personally.
I know.
Because I voted for both of these. So it's the opposite of what I've been experiencing this whole bracket. It's weird because Scott Pilgrim is one of those movies that I was late to seeing. I didn't see it when it came out. And then I got shown it by a couple of friends and just kind of fell in love with it. It's a movie that's really easy for me to put on and just enjoy because there's so much about it that I love. Prometheus I don't watch as often, but it's just a movie that ever since I saw it in the theater, it's never left me. It's a movie that I just always find myself kind of thinking about. And so this is tough because I love them both, again, probably more than most people, but for very different reasons. So I'm not particularly going to be sad if either, which one goes through, just because I these are two that I really wanted to make it far in the bracket. I guess if I have to pick, pain. Just because one of them is closer to my heart than the other one, I'm gonna pick Scott Pilgrim.
Okay. Marisol.
Well, with your vote, Adam Collins has earned the power to piss me off. Okay? All right.
Well, I think I've had that power for a long time.
Well, debatable. But no, you're allowed. You're allowed. I respect you. Respect your opinion.
I feel very safe.
Don't worry, Adam. You and I feel about as safe as.
I think you and Adam have. I think you and Adam have the exact same Scott Pilgrim opinion, and I'm just like.
You and Marisol are
we're
both
just okay, nice opinion. That's nice.
Sweet. So
I haven't been this nervous since I went to sleep freshman year at band camp.
Oh no. What did you play?
I was percussion, so I played
that's what I was gonna say.
all the drums in the percussion line. I ended with quads when I was the head of the drum line senior year, but I did bass drum, snare drum, then quads.
Well, then you should have loved.
And I got sprayed with a super soaker in the middle of the night, and flour was dumped on me. And I just gave you too many ideas.
Yeah, well, and Kim should have been your favorite character on the movie, man. Come on, Kim's fucking awesome. Look. I already know what I'm going to say.
What a picture, Scott Pilgrim. What a picture.
There you go.
I'm
See,
now,
that
terri-
wasn't
I'm now-
hard.
I'm now terrified that
Once
you
Upon a
just gave
Time.
Mara ideas for when we're there. You just gave her ideas. And
Oh, she's
Mara
real good
and-
at scaring people.
I heard that one.
Oh, we know.
As long as it gives me license to scare people.
No.
I love being scared. I wish someone would scare the piss out of me every once in a while.
There you go.
There's something that makes you
Oh,
feel
this
more
is-
alive than feeling as if you're on the verge of death.
I'm with her on that.
Oh,
This is gonna be a real safe house we're all staying in together in December.
Well,
Plus,
not
remember,
only
I
that,
got all
we're,
the
we're,
gonna be
knives.
Clue. That's what it's gonna
but
be
not
like.
only that, we're deciding the winning movie that weekend.
I know. So it's gonna go real well.
And by
All right,
default, it's
anyway.
And
Anyway.
it's gonna be Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So you might as well just prepare yourself now. Hell yeah, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Everybody's got their personal favorites. Since so many of mine have bit the dust, this is like one of my personal favorites left in this lineup. I think what we've got, at least this wing of the bracket. I'll fight hard for this film. Scott Pilgrim is a filmmaker's wet dream. Wet dream. It is
Pronounced
unbelievable.
wet.
It's very wet. Very wet.
A film lover's wet dream as well. I'll emphasize that. Prometheus. Yep. All the pluses about Prometheus. Great film. Yep. Scott Pilgrim.
Mara.
I actually would like you to go because I'm curious if my vote's going to matter or not.
Uh-oh. I see
Out.
Mars plotting over there. I'm nervous.
No, I know
all right.
exactly what I'm voting for. I just want to know
My
if
arms
it's
just
going to
got sweaty.
I know. I'm like sweating over here.
Taylor and I can't handle those.
I know. I'm so stressed out.
No, okay. Someone said it earlier. Which one would I rather put on right now? And if I'm being perfectly honest, it's Scott Pilgrim. That's the one I would rather put on and that I would sit down and I would watch right now. Considering I have a lot of problems with both of these movies. Like I'm someone who likes both of them, doesn't love either of them. But I think I think Prometheus is Ridley Scott handcuffed. Scott Pilgrim is Edgar Wright unleashed, and so that's why I'm going to go with Scott Pilgrim.
Edgar Wright Unleashed
Yes.
is my favorite fanboy podcast.
Right.
And that's the
Best.
that's the only reason. That's the only distinguishing factor I can have, because I do think Prometheus is Ridley Scott handcuffed to a degree because he has to make it an alien movie, whereas in Edgar Wright with Scott Pilgrim was Universal trying desperately to get into the Edgar Wright business and going, hey, yes, do whatever you want to do, and then the movie tanked, and they went, oh, okay, maybe we don't want to be in this business.
Yeah, it was like his
So,
American debut, pretty much.
Yeah, it was like his big American movie. So I'm voting Scott Pilgrim, but by like the tiniest of a whisker. So yeah. Mara?
What? What?
Eat this microphone.
Get it, buddy.
Stop being an asshole. Okay. I had already made up my mind before Jacob answered, and the funny thing is, it would not have mattered because I may not have voted for Scott Pilgrim in its round. I think that both of these movies suffer from not precisely sticking their landing. I think they're both beautiful in their own way. I think that Prometheus has a gorgeous score and Scott Pilgrim has a really epic soundtrack. And even though I think Scott as a human character is just the absolute worst, man, just what a thrill ride. Like, that movie is so joyous, and I love the deep ponderous nature of Prometheus. I really do, but man, the humor in Scott Pilgrim totally works for me. It may not have a penis vagina that breaks a person's arm, but it does have my favorite Culkin, which is saying a lot.
Yes. Yes.
I thoroughly love watching that movie. I love Edgar Wright. I love his filmography. I think that this is easily as Jacob said, it's him unleashed. I think this is just him in his element with money, which is not usually what he gets given. So I love the aesthetic of it. I love watching it. Again, my headcanon says that 3 minutes after the credits roll that Ramona's like, "You're twat," and then she leaves him. So but I love this movie. This movie is so fantastic. So Scott Pilgrim would have made it through whether Jacob had agreed or not.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely, yeah. Okay, cool. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Over under how long do Ramona and Scott last?
Ooh.
Well, that's the thing.
I think she drops him right away.
Well, that's the
Under
thing.
2 weeks.
But that's the thing. Like, she always, and in spite of all of that, like, the movie's so much more. There's so much more beyond it. Like, you always get the sense the whole movie that she's just like, yeah, okay, we can do this, whatever. Like she, like
She's not
he's
enthused by him.
yeah,
Yeah.
like he was always more into her than she was into him. Anyway,
You get the feeling that for Scott, this is love, and for her, this is a relationship. This
Yeah.
is fun.
it's for him. It's this whole epic, like, serious
Love
adventure.
story.
Yeah, this matter of life and death, and she's just like, sure, whatever. You know, she probably will dump his ass after 2 weeks.
Probably.
All right. Our last matchup for the week:
Oh God.
V for Vendetta versus Spider-Man 2.
Can I go? Because
Yeah, you can go.
Can I go? Because this is easy for me.
Yeah, I know.
V for Vendetta. Fuck Tobey Maguire. V for Vendetta. Spider-Man 2 is a very good movie, but V for Vendetta.
All right. I hate myself right now.
You should.
This
This is all your fault.
I am going. Okay, and here is the single only reason I am doing it. I think the Wachowskis, and I know they didn't direct this, but the Wachowskis are some of the most interesting filmmakers we have working in Hollywood right now, and their fingerprints are all over this movie. So I'm going V for Vendetta, and I'm not going to think about it any more than right this second. Otherwise, I'm going to probably change my mind.
Who's next?
Mara.
Part of me is like glad that it wasn't V for Vendetta versus Road to Perdition, because that would have been so painful, like really thoroughly painful. So I guess in a way I should thank everybody. This is really, really tough. I cherish Spider-Man 2. That movie kicks all of the ass. V for Vendetta is just so dark and kind of, I know it's supposed to be kind of uplifting, but I find it thoroughly depressing because we'll never ever affect real change in real life. So that movie is a pipe dream, and I love it. I love wallowing in darkness. But man, this is so mean. I don't like this one. This isn't nearly as bad as T2 versus Two Towers, but this is borderline.
We are getting to the serious end, the pointy end of this.
Well, I feel like there is no right answer for me. Man, you couldn't pick two things that are both excellent and on such opposite ends of the aesthetic spectrum, the composition spectrum, cinematography spectrum. Like, you couldn't have two more different really good movies on here. Man.
Except for maybe
this is really, really tough. But I think I'm going to go with Spider-Man 2, specifically because I love the psychology of Doc Ock. I think that there is a burden that's associated with knowledge and with creation, and with seeing your creation, whether you're doing it or someone else is doing it, just be twisted and bastardized into something that becomes dangerous. And also, it at least got some people aware of what tritium is, even though it's a rare earth element naturally occurring. Again, it's produced in mass by nuclear power plants. You don't need to go get Spider-Man for Harry Osborn. You can just go to a nuclear power plant and go get some free tritium, you stupid moron. But the movie kicks all the ass. Spider-Man 2.
Parker.
Go to me second last in case I have to make an impassioned speech.
Okay.
Oh,
I would have thought you'd want to go now, but okay. All right, Marisol.
I feel like I ruined everything. I'm just going to say it right now.
Shit. I kind of didn't want to let him go. I was ready to be the penultimate speech. Okay.
I can go. I can go. That
No.
I'm just being a bitch by hiding.
Well, I'm scared. This is one of the things, Jacob, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm getting a little scared. Admit it, I'm scared. And now I'm thinking about, like, Adam, what you were saying earlier about representation now that we're getting down to here. Do I want like 3 Spider-Man movies at the end? You know, I do love some Spider-Mans. But do I want like 3? Or no, I guess we're down to 2. I'm sure one of the MCU Spider-Man movies made it through too. Do I want to like throw a gem, a very unique, nothing like it film like V for Vendetta to the curb? Even though I probably personally really enjoyed both of these films, I personally love Spider-Man 2 more.
Everyone's just in pain right now.
Yeah,
nobody wants to vote. Nobody wants to vote.
Yeah, of course, pain.
Well, I feel like I kind of want to change my vote.
Parker's sitting here genuinely terrified that you are going to change your vote.
Well, I'm not allowed to, so it doesn't matter.
Fuck. Look.
The problem is, if we start letting people change votes, it's going to get chaos, and then everyone's going to.
That will be pure chaos.
Like, it's just going to be bad.
Glass over Howard the Duck.
Yeah. So, you know,
that seems so long ago.
Howard the Duck
does.
It does.
I agree.
That's when chaos votes were just fun. Yeah, like
that was when it was fun. Now it's not fun.
Yeah. Chaos votes will get you killed in these rounds. I follow my heart. I can't say what I said before and not like kind of back it up here. I am gonna vote for Spider-Man 2. I am gonna vote for Spider-Man 2.
Hate yourself.
I instantly want to change my answer.
Nope.
Well, you're still talking, so
you are still talking.
It's still your turn.
Nobody
It's
asked
still
me
your
final
turn.
answer. Yeah,
It's still your
Blow
turn.
the whistle.
So
The
think it
play
out.
is over.
It's still your turn, so you can.
All right, Marisol, come on.
But you got to come with an answer here. You got to come.
Oh, you think you're cute? Okay, all right, that's cute. That's cute. I am gonna. Sorry, V for Vendetta. Spider-Man 2.
All right, Parker.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2. Shocker. For God's sake, Spider-Man 2. Yeah, Harry being consumed by greed and revenge. Everything, the dynamic, not just Peter within himself. I mean, his relationship with Aunt May, his relationship with MJ. Like Mara said, everything that's going on with Doc Ock as far as the burden of knowledge and God, there's just so much going on in Spider-Man 2. Everything when he gives up his powers, he feels better, but he also knows he feels like a part of him is missing. Like I understand the hate for Tobey Maguire as a person, Taylor. I really do.
No, as an actor, not a person. An actor, not a person.
Parker, what do you know?
When he's on screen, I'm like, I don't want to watch anything that's happening.
All right. Well, I love him in this role. And Spider-Man 2 is just like the pinnacle of superhero movie and of movies. Like for me, it's incredible. And as much as I love V for Vendetta, as much as I sang its praises before, Spider-Man 2, I think it's not that close for me.
All right, Adam, are you sending this to Dan or are you killing? V
I've
for
asked
Vendetta?
Dan for his vote, so he does have one.
Okay.
So no, I went over it pretty thoroughly earlier. There is a lot that I really, really like about V for Vendetta, and I think it's a great parable. I think it's a story that endures for good reason. When it comes to Spider-Man 2, it's really about the efficiency of that film and the strength of its heart, and that it gets at why Spider-Man's a hero, and And, you know, I remember it occurred to me, like, I never really thought about this until I'd seen Spider-Man 2 when he's fighting Doc Ock in the bank scene, and he literally hits him with like a sack of Scrooge McDuck money. And and then I'm like, Spider-Man could just steal money, and he doesn't. He just doesn't. Like he has all these problems, and like he could steal money and make it pretty much a victimless crime if he wanted to, but he won't do it. And that just really hit home for me when I saw that movie for the first time. And to this day, even though it's a little, you know, I know it's a little maudlin in its own way, but at least the end of the scene, not the actual action of it, but the train scene is so great. I know the sentimentality might be cheesy to some, but that's what I love about Spider-Man. I don't need the story to be gritty and edgy with him. I need it to be earnest, and I need it to be true to his character and true to the better angels of New York City, which you really see in that movie. And I love it. I really do. So I'd like to see it keep going.
All right. Well, with that,
Last Jedi died in vain. I'm very upset. If we were going to kill Last Jedi, it deserved better than this. That's all I'm going to say.
I can't help you with the Toby of it all.
Tobey Maguire will die in this bracket. I will make sure it happens. I will kill him if I must do it personally.
In this bracket.
Yes.
You and Marisol are going to have fun at the end.
We all know why she's going back to the States.
Taylor, you're saying
Dan also would have voted for Spider-Man 2, by the way.
Okay.
No,
Taylor,
it's fine. He's still... Tobey Maguire's still going to die. It's just going to happen.
Let the past guy
Guys,
kill him if you have to.
What is your problem?
Sorry, Tim. Hang on.
What happened? Oh, yeah.
So Tim put up gave this.
This
super
happened
chat
a bit
earlier.
ago. We didn't have time to.
Yeah, we didn't have time to go back, so I was going to wait until the end of the show. My 2 bits on Last Jedi. At times, the plot may not flow perfectly, but it shows the deeper essence of the themes of Star Wars than just plain escapism and fantasy. Shows that mentors can make mistakes, but rise to the occasion. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the donation,
Thank
Tim.
you so
We
much for the
appreciate you
$20
watching the
donation.
show.
Thank you very much. We just wanted to
we didn't have a good time to interject that in.
So we brought it at the end of the show. All right. That was a fun week. We got through it and survived.
Survived.
We see some next week.
All right.
Yeah, give him some teasers.
I'm scared. I had a drink.
Okay. Huh.
That's tough.
The 1998 one?
That's right. Legend made it through.
Legend.
Oh no.
Oh, hey.
No.
That one's not okay.
Yeah, well.
Sorry.
Look how happy, look how satisfied he is.
Son of a bitch.
A shit-eating grin.
So that is next week. And
Yeah.
It ain't
How
gonna get
long
much
till
easier.
we're all under the same roof?
5 weeks.
If we're doing the finals
Yeah,
that
you
week, can I
regret
come
that.
visit? I just want
I'm sure. Okay, so the finals will be on the Sunday night. I am trying to get as many people as we possibly can. 7 p.m. on the Sunday night as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt.
We're gonna get a whole group of people.
Going to try, assuming that 1, we're allowed, and 2, people are available and want to do it. But yes, you are absolutely more than welcome to come join for that one, obviously, because you have been a mainstay of this show now.
We have kidnapped you and made you part of this show,
We have.
essentially.
Cool. I
So-
promise I'm not trying to find a place to sleep because I can't stay that night at the place that I had booked. No, I'm kidding.
Wait, what?
The place that I am staying at, we're not staying through the end of Sunday night. It doesn't matter. I'm sleeping with Kaiser that night anyways. It's all right.
Oh wow. Well, you know what? I'm just glad you guys are proud about it.
We are, you know? Look, it's been a long time coming.
Jesus.
Well, with that, I think we're going to say goodbye.
Yeah, I think we should wrap this up because it's been
getting
off the
chaos.
rails, but it's
It's been fun.
it's been a great
good.
time.
It has.
It's been specifically
Targeted you, apparently.
targeted at me, but it's fine.
Don't worry. Next week, I
Yeah,
think
he's
it's gonna
like
be
that
specific. next week it's going to be specifically targeted at Mara. I think. I think Mara is going to with the
only one of
that
those
Black
made me
Panther
angry.
one.
The rest of them are fine.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's fair. But yeah, I think that one's going to
Gonna be fun.
specifically be fun.
All
All right.
Well, everyone's links are in the description
down below,
as always.
And we will see you at 7 p.m. PST next week. Thank you so much, guys. And until then,
I'm gonna go friggin' take a nap because I'm exhausted. Have a
Taylor's
great
gonna dream
day,
about
everybody.
murdering Tobey Maguire.